Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 24th, 2026 Planning Board meeting. I'd like to start with a pledge, please. Can you hear me on that? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. A few announcements before we get going. Emergency exits are to your left and right and sides of the room. The restrooms are out the back and to the left if you need it. Please be sure to sign the attendance sheet, which is on the back table, and also there's some business cards and copies of the agenda for this evening for you as well if you need them. Also on the back table are resolutions that will be read tonight along with the agenda, as I said. Please silence your cell phones so you don't interrupt those who are presenting before the board, and take any conversations you may wish to have amongst yourselves out the back door and close the door behind you so that it does not disrupt the meeting. Thank you. We did get a meeting minutes yesterday, I think, from Lisa. I'm going to suggest we wait till the next meeting so you all get a chance to read through them and proof them and provide Lisa with any comments between now and then. Correspondence, Lisa, nothing in front of us today. And then we have boards and committee updates. So I don't know if Dave's here. I don't see town board. So Keith Maynard, planning board update.
Good evening, Keith Maynard, project manager for the town of Victor. So the next planning board meeting is Tuesday, March 10th at 7 p.m. Several new items on the next agenda. The first one is the Brownell site plan modification at 578 Eleanor Road. Applicant is requesting approval for an existing landscape berm with a height of 3 feet, 16 feet in width and 78 foot in length. Secondary berm with a height of 6 inches, 10 feet wide, and 30 foot in length, was also installed prior to planning board approval. Applicant is also proposing to relocate an existing shed on the property. Second new item is at Victor Commerce. It's the Cava site plan modification. This is at 400 to 441 Commerce Drive, which is Victor Crossing. Applicant is requesting approval to modify the existing building facade to allow for a revised facade at the former Piecraft tenant space. Also included is the removal of the existing patio at the rear of the building and to provide a new sidewalk connection. Third new item is AT&T Singular Wireless, 795 Old Dutch Road. Applicant is requesting approval to modify equipment on the existing 135-foot monopole tower and remove one surge arrestor, 3 TMAs, and 12 pipe-to-pipe clamps, and install new antennas and equipment. The fourth new item is the Vasta site plan modification at 681 Phillips Road. Applicant is requesting approval to modify the approved site plan from 2020 to include the paved area that was installed that's not on the site plan, and the current parking layout and drive aisles that were also not on the site plan, and landscaping screening changes and stormwater system changes. The fifth new item is the Collier Park Lot 3 modification, 6745 Collier Crossing. Collier Park was a 6 or 7 lot subdivision you guys approved a few years ago. So lot number 3, Collier Park, applicant is requesting approval to revise the approved site plan to construct a single family home with a proposed finished floor 3 feet lower than the original approved site plan, and removal of an infiltration chamber for the downspouts that was on the original site plan. The sixth and final new thing on the agenda for March 10th is a sketch plan application for Brownsville Road subdivision. There, in parentheses, it says Nova Rise. I don't know if they've officially changed that name. Okay, so now Nova Rise. Applicant is requesting acknowledgement of a complete application for the proposed 73-lot cluster subdivision on a total of 158.2 acres over 3 parcels. This is the first step of a major subdivision, and only acknowledgement of a complete application will be considered at this meeting. anybody have any questions on all of that, plus any carryovers that you've.
Going to be busy.
Okay,
Thank you, Keith.
yep.
Our first application this evening is a closed public hearing from the last meeting. Good Life Collective at the Eastview Mall. Applicants requesting approval to establish a licensed adult-use cannabis retail dispensary for an inline store at the Eastview Mall. We saw this at our last meeting. We took no action at the time on the resolution because there were some outstanding issues. So is the applicant here?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Francis Gorman. I'm a partner in Harris Beach, representing the applicant. I'm here with Morgan Todd and Eric Wright of Wilmerite, Hiram Hernandez of Good Life Collective, and Philip Milo of the applicant. As you know, the town of Victor opted in to cannabis dispensaries back in 2021. The site that we have at Eastview Mall, it's been approved by Eastview, it's been approved by the Office of Cannabis Management in New York State, and it's an approved zone for the town of Victor, as set out in Frank Mueller, your code official's letter of November 13th. So we have an approved site. We did get an area variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're here for site plan approval. As we mentioned at our last appearance, we're not doing any external modifications to the building. Everything's internal, and we're going to be operating in accordance with our very stringent lease with Wilmerite, and we're happy to have them as a partner. We're happy to have the town as a partner, and Wilmerite, I think, is what a great job they've done with this mall, and they feel like this will be an amenity to the property.
Okay. As I said, there were a few outstanding questions from the last meeting. We did not have a full board at that time, so I want to give everyone an opportunity to bring any questions they may have still to you guys. As he said, the zoning board did approve the variance, the area variance, the distance between stores. And so what we're looking at is the facility itself, the elements of the storefront, any issues that you may have with that, from odors to signage to anything. So I'm going to start at this end. Joe, questions for the applicant?
Good evening. You mentioned when you were speaking about Wilmot that they had some stringent requirements for you. Could you elucidate a little bit?
I mean, I could have Morgan Todd, who's the head leasing agent at Wilmerite. She could maybe address that.
Sure, that works. You'd need to come to the microphone, please, so we can get it on tape.
So the lease itself actually protects.
I can't
both
hear, I'm
tenant-
sorry.
The lease itself actually both protects tenant and landlord. If there's any law changes, obviously this is a very new use, new concept. So there's going to be some transition and some back and forth as to what works and what doesn't work. Wilmerite has extra protections for themselves and against the tenant as well, as far as if the law changes, the lease terminates. We can actually send you copies of the lease to let you know about all those different landlord and tenant termination rights that are associated with any type of law changes. But the state law is much more stringent than our town law, which is why I think we were granted the variance. So we're going to bat, trying to figure out as we proceed through this new use, what works and what doesn't work. And, you know, we're trying to better our mall, but also transition into what the new forefront is for retail. It's a use that was approved by the town. It's in this very specific overlay district where basically our property adjoins basically every property in the overlay district. So that's why we're coming after the variance.
And I believe, Mr. Limbeck, last time you had a question about odor control?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and maybe, Ms. Morgan, you can talk about what happens if our odor is bad.
Exactly. So there is language in the lease if there is any type of odor, which is common with any type of retailer that we're dealing with, especially national retailers. If there is an issue, that will be addressed, and air purification, things like that will be put into place, but that's part of the lease as well. But we won't know till we put it in there.
And technically, it is a default under the lease, and we have Hiram Hernandez. You want to discuss a little bit what you do about odor control?
As far as, thank you. Thank you for having us, guys.
Sorry, could you just repeat your name and?
My name is Hiram Hernandez. I'm with Good Life Collective. So as far as the odor, I don't want you guys to think that people are going to be consuming in the property. Everything's prepackaged. Everything is very pretty much smell-proof. Everything is in the back. It's contained. The front area, there's really nothing. It's kind of like, it's kind of like going to a grocery store that sells cigarettes and says we don't want it to smell like smoke in there. So it's very same concept.
So you won't be doing any packaging in the store? That's all done by the wholesaler?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So the everything comes to the shop already prepackaged. All the cannabis is grown in the state of New York. That's how it's legal in the state of New York. And these are not criminals growing it. These are farmers. These are people that work. They employ people. They pay their taxes. So it's a totally different ballgame than what we're accustomed to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As long as you're talking about odor control, are you adding any new equipment for odor control, or are you just using the existing HVAC equipment and saying that your product in the stores and as displayed does not emit odors?
Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, and we have 4 other stores in the state of New York, and none of them, smell proof is just, it's never an issue at all.
Yeah, there are other stores in the mall that you can walk by and clearly tell what's in there.
Yeah.
I won't name them, but you all
Gotcha.
know what kind of stores we're talking about. And
Yeah.
so we're unfamiliar with your product, I think,
Sure.
in terms of how it smells. So
And it's fair. No, that's a
It's
fair
displayed.
question. Yep. I hope I answered it to everyone's satisfaction.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Joe, anything else?
And then, yeah, my last question is about the age requirements, the 21. I'm concerned with how are we going to prevent underage people from coming into the store?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So the way we have it set up is we have our point of sale system. It's a scanning device. So basically when someone comes in, we scan their ID. And when we scan their ID, that pretty much verifies if they're the age of 21 or is it expired for the most part. And then if it's expired, they can't come in, unfortunately, even if they're over 21 years old. But once it's scanned, basically it goes right into our system. And then from there, they're actually able to, and it's a security guard will be there. So you just can't just walk in, walk around and then say, hey, how can I help you? No, even before you walk in right at the entry point, we're going to have someone there, a security guard or an employee of Good Life. And they're going to basically scan their ID. That puts them into the system. And then once they're in our system, then they get greeted by what's called a bud tender, which is equivalent to like a cashier or a salesperson. And then basically just educates them on actual cannabis. There's different types of cannabis depending on how you want to feel. If it's an upper, somewhere in the middle, or you want something to put you to sleep, things of that nature. We consult with them. Once they agree to, and there's different forms, right? So there's a flower form, there's also edibles, there's also drinks, there's also tinctures, there's many different variables of THC products that you can consume. Once they identify what they're looking to purchase, then they put it into the point of sale system, and then basically that goes into our fulfillment room. Our fulfillment room has like a printer equivalent to like a restaurant kitchen printer. It prints out a receipt, and then at that point, they fulfill the order. And then once the order's fulfilled, then they bring, they put it. So think of this being the sales floor, and fulfillment is in the back of you guys. And then we put like a little window there that they just basically hand the product back out to the cashier. They cash them out. Thank you for coming. And they're basically on their way.
And then I guess one more occurred to me.
Sure.
Consumption.
Yep.
Of course, it's got to be taking place in your home. So leaving the store to the parking lot's not an issue. I have a little concern about people leaving the store and then consuming while they're walking through the mall, right? So I understand that you probably don't have any control over that, or do you? I'm not sure.
The short answer is no, but, we definitely are going to protect our area. And I would just want to be clear, that will probably happen whether we're there or not, because they can easily purchase somewhere else, smoke on the parking lot and walk right in, so, it's, the way it is, but we'll definitely, police our area. We want to make sure that it's safe, that people can come in, can come out, we protect children, during this process, we're not here, it's not, we're not here to break the law, by any chance, yeah.
And I'm sure that Wilmerite representatives can attest to the fact that there's no smoking in the mall.
We have 24/7 security, which is probably the best property to put this use into, to be honest with you. So we'll police against that for sure, but that won't be an issue.
Thank you. That's all I have, Joe.
Al?
The only other question I had was hours of operation. What's your intended hours of operation?
But under the state law, we're able to operate at least 70 hours a week, and as it's set, we're talking about operating from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Roughly the same as the mall hours. Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you.
That's it, Al?
Yep.
Okay. Scott?
I just wanted to confirm what I think you said, that you have a system whereby everyone's checked that goes into the store.
That's correct, yes.
Their IDs are checked,
Yes.
and they're confirmed to be 18 years of age or older?
It has to be 21.
21?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Trish?
So is there a plan then? You mentioned in security that you would have, that you would work to make sure that the mall is policed. What is the change of security plans? Because my concern is that I know that there are many kids that are there under the age of 21 unsupervised. There's not a bowling alley in Victor. There's not a lot of activity places. A lot of times the mall becomes the activity place. Additionally, I know that on state law, you could not put a store within 500 feet of a school because obviously reason would be children.
For sure.
And currently in the mall, there's adventures in climbing. There's the goat petting zoo, the Fantastic Adventures Pack, Build-A-Bear, Lego store. So there's clearly lots of stores currently in the Eastview Mall, and and obviously just the general amount of children that are there regularly, unattended. And so I would hope there'd be somewhat of an increase in security, not just the current, but an increase.
Yeah.
And, and has there been any studies of other malls that have, what problems that they've dealt with in other, when they've added this into their mall? Has there been any kind of research into that? Because obviously it's a little different if it's a self-standing store, but it's obviously a store that's open.
Yeah, right.
It's a different than just having it in a self-contained store. This is a whole different environment.
Well, I mean, again, maybe Mr. Hernandez can talk about security in the store, and then Ms. Todd can talk about security in the mall.
Yeah, so for a kid to walk in, first of all, the door's gonna be closed, so you just don't walk in like you would walk into Foot Locker or anything like that. So basically they have to actually physically open the door, and we have someone internal is gonna be watching the door to make sure there's no kid. It's like almost impossible, for a child, to walk into the store without, getting, I don't want to say detained, but, without them being confronted for that matter, But it's a good point, and it's very, very valid, and it's something that we don't take lightly. There will be no kids, around our shop, let alone, just hanging around and things of that nature. I mean, it's a public place, they're gonna do it, but definitely not inside our store, absolutely not.
Morgan, do you have anything to add?
I'll add, I think security would be upped if there was a reason to. You cite like on-site consumption and things like that, or like a child, like it's almost like going to P.F. Chang's or Champs. Is your child going to sit down and order a drink? No, they're going to ask for an ID. This is even more stringent, where you don't even walk through the door without presenting your ID and who you are. Like you said, if it's expired, even if you are of age, you're not coming in through the door. I think this is the best controlled zone for use like this. And if anything, it's going to be a model to how this can work for other mall owners and other properties.
Are there other local stores, malls that have a similar store? Are you in any other malls, or are you just in you have 4 other stores?
Correct, yeah.
So are those stores in a mall currently, or are they self-standing?
We have one in a plaza.
But that's closed, like you can't get to it unless you go through the storefront, correct?
Yeah, I mean, like a
Just
mall
like, just,
setting.
this is the same
Yeah, this will
thing.
be the first. Yeah.
So this is actually the first time you're going to be in, and so you haven't had situations you've had to work through in the past. This is a brand-new thing for you, actually,
I mean,
as
it's a
well.
brand new thing, but we can get through it. It isn't like we can't do it.
There's only one point of entry, just like an inline or open-air center, so
Someone
it's
has
really
to
no
do it,
different.
And I think what Mr. Hernandez said initially, and similar to this situation with the strip center, you can't walk through the door. And the proposed Good Life, you can't just walk through the door. The door is closed.
Right, no, I understand that, but I mean, certainly sometimes there could be a group of friends, one being a little older, that can go in the store with other friends that aren't of age and can, purchase product. I'm just,
Respectfully, no.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No, that will never,
no, I'm saying,
Yeah.
no, it could, I mean, you could have legally, someone 21 could be with a group of friends that are not 21.
no, everyone that comes in has to be 21 years
No,
old.
I know that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, then they leave the mall and they're
Uh-huh.
with their friends that aren't 21. That's my concern, is what happens with that, like, how is that being monitored?
I mean, if we catch it, I mean, if it's there, I mean, definitely, I mean, we'll take the product back and then we'll credit them, the monies or whatnot. But I don't think, can it happen? Yes, but I don't, it just won't, we'll police it. That's the best way I can answer that, now if they go in the car and they walk away, I mean, it's a tough one, you know what I mean?
If someone buys product in your store and then walks into the mall, when you package it, do you like seal it somehow? Do you
Yeah,
cycle check? Do you-
so we have what's called exit bags that basically, and they're smell proof as well. So basically, they purchase it, we put it in the bag, we package it, we seal it, and then they can, then they're pretty
Well,
much
as they're walking around the mall, they have a sealed bag in their hand unless they rip it open
correct.
in the mall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my other question is, particularly for the Eastview Mall, is has there been discussion with many of these family-friendly stores about this, and what is their reaction to it?
Yes, actually, so one example is Von Mar. They asked us what was going on, we told them. They were completely open and like, hey, this could actually work, and we're not opposed to it, so they were fine with it. Bass Pro Shops, just talked to him today. They don't have a problem with it. So all of our anchor, like large scale anchor retailers are not opposed to a lot of law-abiding use coming to the mall. You've kind of mentioned policing it outside of the store. That's why Eastview is the place to do it. We have that extra security where if there's something, like you said, maybe a 21-year-old comes in and hey, I've got, and meets its friends, we're able to police that. We have video cameras all over the place, license plate readers all over the place. In fact, we actually police things before they even happen by way of the license plate readers. So,
Actually, the stores that I was referring to were more like the family-centered stores with the for families and children, like the ones I mentioned before, like the Fantastic Adventures Park and the,
Those are some of our
Adventures and cleanup.
smaller operators, they're temporary tenants. And to be honest with you, I would argue that retailers such as like Bass Pro, that's bringing in 3 million people a year that are family orientated, are bringing in much more people than Adventures and Climbing and things like that. But that's what our security is there for. We've got a double security going by way of Good Life and what we have at Eastview. If we have to up the security, we're willing to do that. But it's kind of uncharted territory. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So, I can't say, yeah, we're going to like put a bunch of more people on the ground right away. We don't know that there's going to be an issue. So we're just kind of playing it by ear and seeing what works and trying to, move our steps based on what the environment, puts towards us. It's all new for us too.
I think that's what I'm a little concerned about. I think if you had a store already in the mall, then you could anticipate issues. It's basically like, we're gonna, I guess, find out the problems as they come along.
And, I mean, I guess to piggyback, and you're right, Trish, I mean, there's nothing you're saying, but at the same token, we're also experienced operators. We've been in legal cannabis space since 2019. We also have a store in Oregon. We have 4 stores here. We're opening up another handful throughout, the New York State. So we know, we're prepared. We understand these things, these concerns, and we're going to put our best foot forward along with Wilmerite to make sure that everything gets handled properly. We understand that there's kids there. We get it. We understand that. Best believe we're going to do our best to protect that, and that's pretty much it, unless,
I mean, and there is a provision in the lease that they have the right to terminate us if they find our use to be a noxious use. So, and I think.
You're saying
Yeah,
that the mall has the right to terminate the lease if they've.
Yes.
If they feel that it's not been a good fit?
Well, not,
For the
well,
mall?
technically the term is a noxious, Noxious, a noxious use, sort of like obnoxious, but yeah, I mean, there's provisions in the lease where they would have the ability to terminate the tenant.
And likewise, if the law changes, both tenant and landlord have the ability to terminate.
Anything else, Trish?
I guess my concern is, I know there's been other, Eastview has always been considered, of all the malls in the area, the premium mall that, family safe, family friendly. And, I know we've had some mall closings lately and issues in other malls. And Eastview is, I think we're all very proud of Eastview and the standard that it sets. And, I'm concerned that if there's not proper planning in place, and I haven't quite heard that plan yet to make me feel comfortable, that, that could change the culture of what that mall is and how we feel about the safety of that mall could have a different feel in the community.
So I actually worked for Wilmerite from 1995 to 2010, and when I started there, I handled bankruptcies and evictions. And I know their lease very well, and there's a lot of provisions in the lease that I actually helped draft to give the landlord maximum leverage to evict a tenant if a tenant is not operating as intended. And also, I totally agree, Eastview, and I was just talking to Eric Wright, the director of construction for Wilmerite, Eastview is the best mall in upstate New York. I mean, they really have done a tremendous job with Bass Pro coming in and Von Mauer. And we all want to keep it that way. And Good Life, which has other stores, is an excellent operator, one of the best operators in the state, no question about it.
And we actually won Dispensary of the Year this year. So, as I mentioned, Trish, these are not criminals selling this anymore. These are legit business people, legit growers. We give back to the community. We do turkey drives. We feed the homeless. I mean, and we're looking forward to do that, in this community, So, and if you have any questions about the plan, I'm more than willing to, answer any concerns you may have about the plan.
Mr. Chairman, Keith and I have a couple questions if Trish is done.
I am done, thank you.
Okay, sure, Frank.
FL, would you be willing to share a redacted copy of the lease with the planning board, just showing those operational restrictions and rights that the landlord is retaining over the use? Not redacting the commercially sensitive information, the rent and all that.
Yes, we'd be willing to do that.
That'd be great. And then, Mr. Hernandez, can you speak a little bit about how payments are going to be handled at the store in terms of how they're processed, if it's
Yeah.
cash, stored, removed?
Sure. So, good question. Thank you. So basically, as far as cash payments is concerned, so basically we have a compliant bank account through a bank called the Merrique. They're based out of Syracuse. There's two ways for us to take payments. Obviously, it's cash, and then the other way is by the way of a debit card. And the way it works is if someone, which is the one that we promote, right? So basically, people are able to pay with their debit card, and then the cash, depending on the volume of the store, we'll either do cash pickups, twice a week or once a week, just depending on, the volume of it.
And who does the actual pickup? Is it?
Yeah, it's a armed guard, the people, yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Is there a typical sale value that you'd find a typical customer? Is it $100 or $50 or $200?
The average ticket is probably around $56.
Okay, so
give
you're
or
not
take.
talking large cash purchases?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have someone that'll spend a couple hundred, but for the most part, the average ticket is about $56.
Thank you.
around there. Yep.
Keith, was there something from you, or is that Frank? Okay. I had a couple of questions, maybe for Wilmerite, but for the applicant. The store site was a former bank, I believe, and there's a external window, and I believe there's external access. Are those being modified or closed off, or are they being retained, just not used by the public?
The external access, given the hours that have been approached to us, are a little earlier in the morning on the Monday through Saturday. So the external actually will be beneficial so they can operate outside of mall hours. We can close the interior entrance on the off-mall hours to make sure that the traffic flow is only going through the exterior to kind of, secure that.
So the mall hours in the evening, 9 o'clock, I think it is.
We are Monday through Saturday. We are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So they're asking us to get open 1 hour earlier and 1 hour later on the Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's kind of the opposite, where they're asking to open an hour later at noon instead of 11 and stay open till 6.
Okay. Is there anything regulated by the state in terms of hours? Here's the latest you can have a cannabis store, or earliest you can open a store.
So I can answer
yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah,
a-
I can answer, yeah.
Thank you.
Technically, you can stay open till like past midnight, but we don't have any, we don't want that. We just want to,
Well, I think you'd probably find that sentiment on the board as well.
I'm sorry?
You'd find that same sentiment on the board. I think we'd want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
stick with
no,
small hours.
yeah, we
as
have no
best as possible.
interest in staying open later than what we are.
Okay, so you will be able to, or will be using that external door outside of the double, I call it the airlocks, or the mall doors themselves?
Just for the hour, just for 1 hour. That's all it is.
Just wondering what kind of, you're going to see activity in that 1 hour.
Honestly, probably 5-10 customers at most. You know what I mean? Is what
Yeah.
we're, it's not like it's something like it's Black Friday and, the lines out the door,
Will you have adjusted hours for a Black Friday type of day where it's like midnight to midnight or something?
No.
Okay.
No. Normally, cannabis smokers, they won't, it's the reason why it's early is because some people want to get it, before they go to work or while they're at work. Then you got lunchtime, which is, their break, and then it's dinner time right before they, on their way home or whatever, and then that's it. I mean, 8 or 9 after that is dead,
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be, it's not feasible for us to stay open anytime later than
Okay.
that, you know.
All right,
Just for, but our city store is open till 10, but it's the city. It's more heavy populated and things of that nature, so. yeah.
Are there other stores that have hours outside the realm of the hours of the mall?
I believe so. Yeah.
The restaurants do.
Okay.
okay, that's all I had. I don't know if Wes, there was any comments from Mabella, I assume not. So what's the pleasure of the board? We have a draft resolution here. We've had a lot of questions asked and for the most part answered. Trish, you mentioned that you didn't hear something that gave you call it a comfort level, or didn't answer. Is there something that they need to answer still from your perspective?
You know, I think I would like to hear more about your security plan. You know, what the security plan of the mall would be as far as the activity in the mall. I would feel better about that.
Well, I guess our security plan is to keep on with our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week security, which we have heavily monitored. Like I said, we have license plate readers, video cameras all over the place. If anything, this is the most secure place to do this type of use. And just like any full-service restaurant with a full bar, like, people are coming to the establishment as a family. I don't see, you know, the hostess asking for the children's ID as the parents sit down to have a drink or something like that. Whereas with this use, you cannot even enter the premises without an ID, and not even only an ID, but a valid ID. It's not expired. There's no issues with it. Once again, we have the license plate readers. If it's a suspect person, those license plates ping, and we have an on-site Ontario County Sheriff substation at our mall. So usually before a suspect license plate even enters the building, they're already apprehended.
Have you had conversations with the Ontario County Sheriff's Department in regards to this and their any
I
concerns
haven't
they may have?
personally, no.
That may be helpful, just to prepare you for what security concerns you may have, you know, that you should attend to.
Yeah, normally we do reach out to the police department, the captain and stuff like that, and just kind of sit down, introduce ourselves, just get acquainted with the neighborhood, show them the store, and if we can get to that point with you guys, we'll love to do the same with you guys, so you guys can have a much better comfort level. So yeah, that's part of the plan. I mean, we need to be engaged with the community, so that's definitely not, you know, something we're not able or willing to do. That's, yeah.
Right, so what I was actually referring to is, has the mall had a conversation with it would be the county sheriff's department in anticipation of maybe some things that could better prepare you and, you know, just from their experiences? I'm sure they've dealt with other situations around the county.
To be honest with you, I can't answer that because I'm sure that our mall manager and mall operations have had a conversation with the Ontario County Sheriffs. I'm just the leasing person, so I'm not the operations person.
Okay.
But I will make it a point to make sure that those conversations are had with the
I think that would be
substation.
helpful for them.
They
to
might
give
have already
some-
occurred. I just might not have the
constructive-
right person here to convey
Right.
that message to
Yep.
you.
Well, there's been a lot discussed this evening, and I do have an active resolution here. Is there, I'll entertain a motion to approve, or I'll start over again. I'll read this and then entertain a motion to vote on this resolution. So unless there's an objection, I'm going to move forward with it. So, the Good Life Collective, 338 Eastview Mall, whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board has made the following findings of fact. Site plan application was received on October 31st, 2025 from Felipe Mello Enterprise LLC, DBA Good Life Collective, who's known as the applicant, by the Secretary of the Planning Board for a change of use site plan entitled Good Life Collective Site Plan, which is the application, for the interior retail space located at 338 Eastview Mall, Victor, New York, the property. It is the intent of the applicant to establish a licensed adult-use cannabis retail dispensary for an inline store at the property. A public hearing was duly called for and was published in the Daily Messenger, where by all property owners within the minimum 500 feet of the application were notified by U.S. mail. An under review sign was posted on the property as required by the Town of Victor Town Code. The Planning Board held a public hearing on January 27th, 2026, at which time the public was permitted to speak on the application. The application constitutes a Type 2 action exempt from an environmental impact assessment review pursuant to 6 NYCRR Sections 617(5)(c)(2) and 9 of the regulations of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. The Town of Victor Code Enforcement Officer reviewed the site plan in a letter dated November 13th, 2025, and provided comments to the Planning Board. And the applicant received an area variance on January 20th, 2026 from the Town of Victor's Zoning Board of Appeals, permitting to locate the proposed cannabis retail dispensary at the property. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Felipe Mello Enterprise LLC, DBA Good Life Collective for site plan approval entitled Good Life Collective Site Plan, application number 33 SP 2025 be received by the Planning Board on October 31st, 2025 is hereby approved, subject to the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the Planning Board Chairman's signature on the site plan. Number one, that no final signatures will be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid as per reimbursement local law adopted November 25th, 1996. Ongoing conditions. Number one, that the site plan shall comply with the Town of Victor Design and Construction Standards for Land Development, including Section 4. Number two, that the proposed cannabis retail dispensary shall not open or conduct any business prior to 9 a.m., nor remain open or conduct any business after 9 p.m., Mondays through Saturdays. That's correct, right? And shall not open or conduct any business prior to 12 noon, nor remain open or conduct any business after 6 p.m. on Sundays. I'm sorry. 12 o'clock. Yep, 12 noon, I said. Okay, that's fine. Number three, subject to the applicable law, a cannabis retail dispensary shall provide to the town copies of all information and documentation submitted to the state of New York in application for a license to operate under the cannabis law. Number four, a cannabis retail dispensary shall not operate until the dispensary has obtained all licenses and permits required for it to conduct any business issued by the state of New York and any of its agencies for cannabis retail dispensary operations. Number five, that a move-in permit be obtained from the Planning and Building Department. Number six, that a sign permit be obtained from the Planning and Building Department, and be it further resolved that the Planning Board Secretary distribute and/or file the Planning Board's approval letter in accordance with all applicable state and local laws and regulations, as well as town code provisions. So, with that resolution, I don't believe there's
Mr.
any
Chairman,
changes. Yes.
if I may, I would
Sure.
suggest or recommend adding the provision that they're going to provide copies of the lease provisions governing
Okay.
the use.
So prior to chairman's signature, number two, that the applicant or, would it be Wilmerite that provides that? Yeah, okay, so that the property owner, Wilmerite, provide, call it a redacted.
Copies of the lease provisions governing the operations of the use of the property, as well as any termination rights,
Okay,
but with the understanding that commercially sensitive and proprietary information would be redacted from the lease.
okay, Lisa, you got that? Yep. Okay, thank you, Frank. So with that addition, under, prior to chairman, planning board chairman's signature, hear a motion for approval?
I'll move.
Al moves,
I'll second.
and Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I hear three ayes.
Nay.
Joe? Nay? Trish?
Nay.
So it does pass 3-2. So that's the resolution. Approved. Okay, the next one is also the public hearing was closed. Thirsty Turtle site plan modification, are they here? Yep, perfect. 7422 State Route 96, applicants requesting approval to install a temporary fence or a color change to the temporary storage structure located in the northeast back parking lot. Also, a proposed building lighting color change to coincide with holidays. And we've had some discussions at previous meetings, and I think you're here to help us resolve those.
Yep, absolutely. Again, Ted Rund, Thirsty Turtle, 7422 Route 96.
Thank you.
So located on the screen over here, these were where the recycling dumpster was for about 18 years before we did the patio, and then we actually had the recycling there, and we moved the dumpster over here because of a little bit of a smell issue on hot days. And so our thought process is to stay on top of our collection companies. We've been solicited by many of them, and I think, unfortunately, dumpsters don't smell great sometimes, and we're going to do everything in our power to keep that in that area so that it's hidden and invisible to the public from the road.
So back where your blue,
Yeah, where the
Is
blue
you'll
is,
leave 'em
correct, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and that was really the original where it was, and when they come to get it, it's actually a little bit easier for them to just pick up and back out and leave. And as I mentioned in the previous meeting, a lot of the times they're coming at like 6:30 in the morning, so we don't really see them there ever.
Okay. Lighting?
The lighting, thank you very much. We were able to cheer on the USA for the Olympics. I provided a list of the dates and some of the holidays. There's really not a lot of them. I don't know if you saw the list, but the list clearly is what it is. And other than that, I think just the white that we have, or I should say soft white, because it matches the lights on the building, permitted to be turned off when you guys said around midnight or whatnot.
I think we said at they're the, what do we call those, decorative lights or the party lights or however you want to call them, would be during normal, your business hours.
Sure.
And then beyond that, you'd have security lighting for the balance of the hours.
Yeah, we have pole lighting. We have some lights on the building that illuminate, and I have no problem making sure that the timer is set to, we close at 11 on Monday through Thursday, so I probably would just keep them on until 11:30 just to let my staff. I mean, we knock on wood, we've never really had any issues. But I mean, if you guys are okay with that, it's good with me.
In a minute, I guess we'll have the board pose any questions. Sorry, Joe. I said I'll come to the board in a minute. I don't recall if there was another. There was a discussion on painting the dumpsters, I think, or the storage units. What was your?
Yeah. So, ideally, I really don't want to have to paint them if I don't have to paint them. They've been there for 5 years. We've been in business for 20 years. I know I talked about this before, and I'm not trying to speak about other people in the area, but we've been a very good community business that has raised a lot of money, a lot of tax revenue for this town, and I've never once talked about any of the neighbors or anyone other's property that might not look as good as ours. But I will just say this, I will be willing to paint them if we have to come to that. My suggestion is either green to match the roof, which I think will blend in nicely when the foliage comes in. There's also this retention pond here that we ripped out all the Phragmite, which will certainly be back. We have intentions of bringing this berm up a little bit higher, and I don't know if the photo is in there, Susie, but there's another photo maybe from the road that only really shows a little. No? Okay. That's fine. So from the road, there's really only about, I would say, 10% of the container that you can see from the road, and I anticipate it being even less or even not even visible from the road when we bring this berm up a little bit higher, because we want to plant grass and we want to maintain it better so that it doesn't get out of control. I look forward to having a great relationship with my new neighbor and making our joining properties look great together, because some of the vegetation, unfortunately, wasn't maintained by the previous owner, and so it just grew out of control. My thought is that the cattail or Phragmite, for specific terms, will come back. We're going to keep it at bay within the interior of the pond, which will give us a little bit more coverage. But I guess if I have to paint it, I think that maybe either black or green to match the roof would look great, and it probably would blend in with the rest of the foliage around the property.
My perspective, your point was well taken about you only see the top,
Correct.
quarter of it maybe.
Yep.
Had you thought about maybe on the top of the berm, maybe putting some low evergreens or anything like that? Some bushes?
So
that-
originally when we were there, we are frequented by a lot of deer.
Okay.
And so we had arborvitae around the outside of the patio originally that would just get crushed every year. And I know for a fact that we've had a lot of deer accidents right here, and they come down from the night from up in the property below us. They run down this little here, and they go drink here, look for food. So our thought process around that was we have some natural boulders that are on the property right now.
Okay.
And I've already talking to Ted Collins about bringing in a couple more, because what our thought was is to do a little bit to place them around, really just to make sure that someone doesn't drive over that. So that would help. I think.
So not feeding the deer is probably your preferred
Yeah.
approach.
Yeah, I mean, we're just looking to have a better, that area has been a money pit, for lack of better words, for us, and so we really want to stay on top of it and make it look good and not let it get out of control. But I think with the internal Phragmite growing in that pond and the berm being a little bit higher, and some of those decorative boulders are positioned 5 or 6 of them around the outside, I really do think that that it won't be as visible as it was now. And obviously, before we took out the Phragmite, I mean, you couldn't even see these things.
Yeah.
But we needed to do what we had to do.
Okay. Board members, anything outstanding? Trish, I'll start your side there. Thoughts on painting or not painting, landscaping, dumpster, lighting?
I think that, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I think the two color choices, if it does go that direction, are good color choices that you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I think you're doing a good job trying to maintain the best you can the situation, and I don't have anything specific other than that.
Sure.
Okay.
I guess one thing I'd like to add, though, too, I mean, if this does get approved and I do have to paint it, I probably won't be able to paint it until,
Well, wouldn't expect you to paint it in the winter. Let's
Right.
put it that
Yeah,
way.
no.
Yeah.
so I'm thinking I'll talk to Headlocks. That's where I usually go for all our paint, and we'll try and figure out what the optimal temperature, of this container needs to be to adhere to the paint.
Okay. Got it.
I've driven by several times and I see, excuse me, how noticeable it is. Wondering if you could do maybe some sort of a landscape plan or something specific to what you're talking about with respect to boulders or vegetation or something. The drawing that I'm looking at right there isn't all that specific. It shows the area of interest, but I don't see how the items that you spoke about are going to be implemented. I'd like to see that on a drawing to formalize the proposal that you've made to us verbally. That's what I'd like to see. In the past, you've come to us when you've done your expansion. I believe you hired BME to do that for you, and you presented us with a professional drawing. I guess I'd like to see something a little more along those lines for this particular request. That would be my comment.
Al?
Nothing really else to add.
Okay. Joe?
I like the lights. I'm curious about purple for Valentine's Day. I'm not used to that idea.
Oh, yeah, maybe I didn't mean to write purple. I mean, pink would probably be
Okay.
more in line with
Okay.
that.
Lucia?
That's what you caught on to.
So I like the lights. I think that 4 to 5 days is reasonable. I'm glad you added the Victor home football. I'm curious, though, if other teams would be looking for similar blue and gold besides the football. But the football certainly I agree with. I would also consider, we do go to the states periodically. I'd almost like a little bit of leeway, maybe not for 4 to 5 days at a time, but if we do win states, I think blue and gold would be appropriate.
I think technically he's limited on how many hours the holiday party lights, whatever you want to call them, are able to be on before you need a variance. I
Yeah,
think
he's
it's 40.
proposing 4 to 5 days, so
No, well, I'm talking about total number of days for the year.
Oh, okay.
Like 40 days, I think it is, something to that effect. Wes, do you, or maybe Keith remembers?
So yeah, in any event, I'm all for the lights. I'm rambling
Yeah.
a little bit, I guess. And as far, I like the idea of green or black for the containers. So that's all.
Okay.
What I just mentioned for the lights, I think last time we talked about, just to give yourself more leeway, instead of making it a broken 4 to 5 days, or originally I think it was like we were talking about a weekend, maybe just giving it a full week. I think I would expand it to a full week. 'Cause I think about something like St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure you have a menu all week for St. Patrick's Day, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and I second that. I guess I was just trying to be as conservative with my asks. Depending on when the holiday falls. Like for an example, it's on a Tuesday this year, which is never really great for us, but we'll be serving corned beef and cabbage starting on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Once St. Patty's Day's over, I'd probably just go back to the regular lights. But
Right.
I'm okay with doing 7 days, and I appreciate your suggestion.
Yeah, I
that.
just think that, I hate to see you limit yourself. And then Christmas, 4 or 5 days, I mean, Christmas, people have their lights up all December. So.
Yeah. Yeah, for Christmas, I mean, in years past, I've been up on the ladder, and I've had to, with the wind and the ice coming off the roof, I'm back up on the ladder. I'm trying to get these Christmas lights up, and then I was paying thousands of dollars to have a company come in and do it. And then when this permanent light option became available, it just made sense to do it. And so during Christmas, I just like it white what it is now. I just think it looks good because it matches the rest of my lights. But I mean, I've done red and green before.
Right.
But
I guess what I'm saying is I don't think I would limit that.
okay.
I think for certain holidays, they're going to be a longer time. Obviously, like 4th of July is probably want it to be more shorter.
Right.
But, I just think that I don't think it has to be limited to, personally, to 4 to 5 days. I think you're limiting yourself personally.
Well, the section I was referring to, Trish, is 131-8, prohibited uses for non-residential properties, strings of lights. It's called temporary lighting, seasonal lighting, illuminated more than 40 days in a calendar year, cumulative for all seasons unless approved by the planning board. So we would have to approve greater than 40 days in a calendar year for use of those decorative lights. Now, if they're all white, that's one thing. That part of it is, I'll call it
Right.
decorative illumination, not seasonal illuminating like Christmas lights or
Right.
football games or whatever you want to refer to the different colors. It's
Right.
great having the flexibility, change the program and different lights on the building. You can't have them flashy, of course, but if you want to go more than 40 days in a calendar year based on that, on your list of events, I think you were beyond that. We need to approve that.
But the white lights, wouldn't the white lights not really count in that if that's just your
Right.
regular lights for
Yeah.
Christmas?
what
Yeah,
I'm
like
saying.
that's what I have right now. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
after the Olympics was over, we switched back to our
Right.
regular lights.
And that wouldn't count then as illuminated or seasonal lighting
Right.
or event lighting.
Okay.
So if they go back to white, it's a technicality, trying to
Sure.
work with you on this.
Sure.
But we are responsible to approve more than 40 days of seasonal or event lighting.
Okay. So do I have to ask for that, is what you're saying?
You have to ask for that, yeah, if it's more than 40 days in a calendar year.
Okay. Does that have to be in writing, or can I ask you right now?
We can, but Lisa's going to get a draft resolution.
Okay.
We'll work through that, I think, if the board is okay with that. So, rather than keep going back and
Sure.
forth, meeting to meeting.
No
I
problem.
think what we were looking for was the dates, which I think you've given us roughly the dates, but like the exact dates of the year that the lights would be what they would be. And then you'll be able to know exactly how many days, and then we would be able to enforce, code enforcement would be able to enforce what days you're allowed to have what colors.
Yeah, and if we're waiting for that, we can put that as a season.
100%, yep,
Before signature of the chairman.
yep.
We'll get that. You guys look it over, give us an opportunity to, say that that's good enough for my guys to, or inspectors or code enforcement people to, enforce the time on it. So, I mean, you can add or subtract as long as you have a cushion there. Say you needed 60 days or say you needed 50 days and you wanted to go 60, let's put 60 days maximum or something to that effect.
Okay.
And then you can shuffle them around or add a special event that might come up like an Olympics or something like that.
Okay.
So, all right,
Looking at these, like Christmas being white, that's not a change, so I don't think that would even count. And then the Olympics and World Cup is like a special event. It's not a yearly
right, that's a,
thing. So what I would say is, I guess, if you gave each, St. Patrick's Day a week and Halloween a week, 4th of July a week, that's 21 days, and then he would have a flex amount of times for special holidays, football games. So I would do it as pick the holidays that you know that you annually celebrate and put a reasonable amount of days, whether it's a week or whatever it is, and then having a flex amount of days that, so you're, staying, and if it's over the 40, then obviously we'll have to discuss that amendment. But I think just based looking on this, I doesn't sound like that it would, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think it would go over that, because most of these are, the ones that are longer, there's only 3 of them that I'm seeing.
Right.
I know the other ones are more like occasional flex.
yeah,
things that
but
come
they
up.
all add up. I mean,
Right.
technically.
Technically,
So,
right.
Sorry to be a stickler on this, but we need to make sure that the planning department or the codes enforcement has that.
Yeah, I have no problem. I can ask for, I can put it in writing and
Okay.
make it official.
So if you think you need only 40 days, we don't need to make a resolution that says anything, like a variance. So I think what Trish is saying is, it looks like you need at least half. And then if you're doing like a football weekend, that's couple days maybe.
Right, and or like a,
I wouldn't say a week, but,
Yeah,
you might have to,
I feel good about the 40. I mean,
right.
and I hope Victor, every team wins the state championship. That's great for us.
Oh.
But I mean, I usually it's a one-day thing, and hopefully all it does is, like, oh, why is it blue and yellow? Oh, the football team is in the state championship.
sure.
Let's stop by there and celebrate with them or whatever. So usually it's a 1 or 2 day max.
And what I'm saying is, just based on this, even if you want a week on those holidays.
Right, we're still
It's still giving you plenty of flex time.
okay.
For all those special things that are just popping up, that you're still, I think you're still in the 40, unless I'm wrong, even with giving you longer time for those holidays for that full week.
Okay.
I mean, from what I'm looking at, but.
all right, so it sounds like you don't need a variance of the 40 days. If you have a set number and you're going to give that to code enforcement, I would suggest that if you're going to add to that a couple days here and there, still within the 40 hours, you just let them know, say, hey, it's going towards my 40 hours, but here's the weekend,
Yep.
Victor football's in a championship game or something like that.
No problem.
So,
Okay.
thanks, Lisa. So the resolution, the conditions are going to be that the applicant submits a lighting plan for seasonal illumination or event illumination to code enforcement or for review, and then prior to my signature on this resolution. So, all right, I think I've hit that one pretty hard. Does anybody else have any comments about it, whether it's putting painting in here of the dumpsters or not dumpsters, but the containers or, Do you need to add anything beyond comment about lighting for me to review before I sign this?
The comment about lighting should.
Yep. How about paint for the containers? He's preferring not to, but is there a feeling from the board that we'd like it them painted to be a little less obtrusive? Or, and Scott asked for a landscape plan.
I think painting's a bare bones minimum.
Yeah. Okay. So, conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature would be lighting schedule or plan, painting of the, submitting a color, I guess, of the paint you're going to put on the containers.
Sure.
And there was a request for the site plan to be formalized with location of the dumpsters and the landscaping on the berm, whether it's boulders or whatever that
Sure.
that you're intending to do there as a
Okay.
further shield. So I will put those three things in the conditions prior to chairman's signature. I think that would work for everyone.
Mhm.
Okay. So if y'all are ready, I'll read the resolution. Not as detailed as I did the last one, but Thirsty Turtle patio expansion, 7422 State Route 96. Is this actually the patio expansion, or is this site plan? Yeah. Whereas planning board made the following findings of fact, there are 7 of them. Now therefore be resolved that the application of Ted Run, site plan entitled Thirsty Turtle Site Plan Modification, drawn by Lauren Fairbanks, dated October 9th, 1998. Okay, received by the planning board December 8th, 2025, last revised February 20th, 2026. Planning board application number 38 SP 2025 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 and 2, number 1 standard, number 2, that comments from the code enforcement officer dated December 19th, 2025 be addressed. Number 3, that a lighting plan for seasonal and event illumination be submitted by the applicant to be reviewed by the code enforcement, be submitted. And number 4, that the site plan be submitted detailing improvements in landscaping and indicating color for the containers for painting and extent and location of the dumpsters as proposed. I think I got that. Did I miss anything?
We need to add in that the painting could be done in the spring, or does that not need to be put?
We'll just call it a painting plan, yeah, or note on, say the painting's got to be completed by June 30th. Does that help, Ted?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Ongoing conditions, number 1 standard, number 2, building permit be attained prior to the start of construction, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So with that draft resolution as amended or modified, do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Al moves.
Second?
Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Third item this evening, Valenti minor subdivision. This is also a closed public hearing. 6948 Aldrich Road, owner Kathleen Valenti. Applicants requesting approval to subdivide a 7-acre parcel into 2 proposed lots. Lot 1 consists of 6.408 acres and existing house, and Lot 2 will consist of 0.623 acres. And I believe there was questions regarding site distance on the road and driveway location. So, good evening.
So good evening, everyone. Am I coming through okay?
I think so.
I'm Pat Venezia. I'm with Venezia Land Surveyors, and I'm here to represent the Valentis tonight. They were in last month, and yes, there was a question regarding, we had initially shown a separate driveway for lot number 2, which is a lot intended for their daughter. And it came to be realized that the site distances were not compliant with the speed of the road. So we are now proposing the entry to get to Lot 2, come in within the parents' driveway, and we are proposing an egress easement to benefit Lot 2, and also a proposed maintenance agreement for that driveway or for that easement, in lieu of a separate driveway, which wouldn't work out for them anyway. So that is our proposal.
Do you have a plan that illustrates how you would,
There are plans. I brought some full-size plans in.
Show that.
I don't recall seeing that detail. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Just want to make sure it was. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're tying in down below. Wes, comments from an engineer's perspective?
Yeah, I think the updated plan that shows the common access point onto the public right-of-way, onto Aldrich Road, I think that's helpful. It avoids creating a new driveway, curb cut onto the road that doesn't have adequate sight distance based on the design speed of the roadway. So I also like the idea, they've got a proposed access easement and maintenance agreement. I think as part of the drawing, we'll want to see, the bearings and distances of the proposed easement, but I think this is a pretty decent way to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Wes. Is there anything about drainage along the road that they would need to address because of where they're tying it in? Drainage along the road, is there on the existing curb cut or driveway entrance?
Oh, I don't know if there's a,
I didn't see anything.
is there a culvert underneath the current driveway?
I do not know the answer to that question.
There's like a 12-inch.
But we can find out.
HDPE.
Yeah. I'm just going to zoom in on the map here to see if
Yeah.
there's. Yeah, it looks like there's a 12-inch HDPE, maybe a drainage pipe underneath the driveway.
All right, so that won't be affected by this. It'll be.
Nope. That's going to remain unchanged.
Okay, great. So, to the board, start with Joe. Questions?
No, I agree with Wes's assessment about the common driveway. I think that's a good solution. Did you get any feedback in your comments about density? You referred that to the code folks, your second comment.
I don't know that I heard anything different from code enforcement. I would presume that the proposed density, the new lot is compliant with density requirements.
Okay.
Otherwise, the codes would have called that out.
Then I'm good to go. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Al?
I'm good as well.
All right. Scott?
I think the change is a very good change. Makes a very positive difference.
Trish? Nothing? Okay. I think Wes answered things that I had outstanding. Good plan. I think it be nice for your daughter to be able to live next door.
Absolutely.
So, as it is already a closed public hearing, I have a draft resolution that Lisa is passing out. If there's no other questions for the applicant. Joe's hungry. So, with that, thank you. A resolution of the Valenti Minor Subdivision, 6948 Aldrich Road, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 7 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on February 24th, 2026, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project Valenti Minor Subdivision will not have a significant impact on the environment, that a negative declaration be prepared, and be it further resolved, excuse me, that the application of Venezia Land Surveyors minor subdivision entitled Valenti Minor Subdivision, drawn by Venezia Land Surveyors, dated December 1st, 2025, received by the Planning Board December 23rd, 2025, last revised February 24th, 2026. Planning Board application 4MS 2025 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions that must be met prior to chairman signing the minor subdivision, that no final signatures be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid for fee reimbursement, local law adopted November 25th, 1996. Number 2 is a standard also. Number 3, also standard. Number 4, comments on a letter dated February 18th, 2026 from Lobella Associates be addressed. Number 5, that comments from code enforcement officer dated January 9th, 2026 be addressed. Conditions that are ongoing, standard conditions that must be adhered to. 1 is standard, as is number 2. And the applicant, number 3, the applicant shall be aware that conditional approval of this subdivision does not mean that Lot 2 is an approved building lot. Site plan approval is required prior to Lot 2 becoming buildable lot and before a building permit can be issued. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So, on that resolution, I entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move.
Joe moves.
Second.
Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you working with us and for the solution.
Thank you.
This next application is a public hearing, Stewart Tree Service Site Plan. It's still an open public hearing, 7548 County Route 42, owner Richard Stewart. Applicants requesting approval to operate a tree service business at this site. Was previously a restaurant. Good evening.
Good evening. Dan Elliott from Elliott Engineering on behalf of Mr. Stewart, who was here on July 8th, where the board, and thank you for this recommendation, told him to go find an engineer and do a site plan. We have since done that. He's also done some work already to restore the property. The property is going back to the previous board's approval. We're not building any structures, will not be changing any parking. There was a question to gravel areas that will be reverted back to grass. We'll put them back to the 24-foot wide driveway curb cut. We have gone through code for everything right up until the sign. The sign was given to us by a sign manufacturer on Thursday. Got notes from code enforcement earlier today. Just small definitions of a monument sign. We thought it was 19 square feet. It was 20.16. We'll fix that. And that takes us to the big question for the property, storage. After talking with Mr. Stewart, we propose a 20 by 24 foot storage shed in lieu of shipping containers. Something that would be sited within the nature of the village as it is now. The only deviation I have as of the moment is, per the client, he'd like to move it about 12 feet south of where my dash lines are showing it now, which kind of centers it in the back of the back parking area.
So it would actually take up less plan space or plan area than the 2 containers that were proposed.
Yes, it provides about the same storage, less footprint.
Okay. And you'd shift them south, you said? So
South about 10, 12 feet. I guess that the northeast corner of the property is kind of a wet area. So he's just,
okay.
I guess, getting it out of the swamp corner.
Oh, but still along the edge of pavement.
Yes, it
that's
would
there.
still be on the pavement. This would be an accessory structure on grade.
Okay, so floating right on the asphalt then, that's there. Okay. Any comments you have on the driveway entrance that you'd want to?
So he has planted some trees, mostly to shield from Main Street fissures. The entrance itself, again, is going to go back to a 24-foot wide apron that was previously approved. The gravel that was thrown in there, I believe, back when it was a restaurant even, will be turned down and topsoiled over and seeded. So it will comply with the village's current code, which is anything that's parking shall be paved.
Okay. Comments from the board? Scott?
I guess my comment in driving by several times and seeing what's going on out there since July, there are a lot of trucks that are using that area. It looks like a laydown area for, obviously a very busy contractor. I don't see much in terms of new landscaping here to buffer the visual that comes from all that equipment being parked there. And I see how you're removing the gravel, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that's going to, as the trucks are kind of shot of the site plan, that's going to push them back behind the building. Whereas now, every time I've driven by here and there, trucks are a little bit closer towards the right-of-way. Pushing them back towards the northeast corner is going to visually obstruct it behind the building itself as far as from Main Street fissures.
Can I say
And
something?
yeah, that'd be.
There's
Wait, hang, first name
sorry.
and then step up to the microphone.
Hey, I'm Rick Stewart. That bucket truck in the corner is gonna get out of there. I gotta put brakes on it, so, the brakes got rotted out on that sucker. So anyway, there's a couple trucks in there, one that you can see from the street. The shed's gonna be in that area. You won't see that. And then the trucks, like he showed them in this, this diagram.
Projectors.
Oh, yeah.
There's a laser pointer if you want to use it also, that's up there.
Wow.
Complicated.
Yeah.
The other one, there's one that looks like this.
Yeah, well, you can see the trucks. They're all pushed
Right there.
back by the building, so, anyway. I think he's, like, the shed's gonna be in the area where you see the truck on Main Street Fishers. Then everything's gonna be pulled back, and then, Dan put in some stripes for employee parking too. So.
Okay,
I did put in 12 pine trees that Joseph Logan asked for. But yeah.
So back to my original comment, is there some reason why you can't put trees in that gravel area that you're filling in?
I can put something in there, yeah.
You're in the tree business, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't-
Cutting them, not planting. He likes taking stuff out.
wouldn't be-
I know it's a slow road, but I just make sure we're not cutting off any site distances. Doing that. It
Well-
seems like you want them right along the driveway, which is only about.
well,
I think if you take a look at it from the visual, I think if you drive down the road and you approach it coming from the west, headed east, I think it's very noticeable. I don't think it's noticeable east to west, but I think it's very noticeable west to east.
so you can,
And I'm concerned as to just the appearance of all the equipment there, and I think you have an opportunity, in that you're filling in this area with apparently lawn grass. Grass is good, but it's not landscaping, and it just seems to me, I mean, we have a landscape consultant, perhaps we could ask him for his opinion.
Okay. So I thought you just wanted pine trees along the Fishers Road, but you want pine trees or something, some landscaping along Main Street, not Main Street Fishers.
Oh, it is Main Street Fishers.
Fisher Station Drive.
Well, the Main Street Fishers crosses through here, and you can see it, but I mean, you don't have to be an engineer or a landscape architect, or you can just be really anybody traveling down the road to see what I see. It's not difficult to use a little imagination and see how some halfway decent trees planted critically or strategically in this area that you're reducing to a conforming size driveway, how that would benefit the situation.
Okay.
That's my comment. But I also think we do have a landscape consultant who could weigh in and probably provide more detailed information than I can. It's not my forte necessarily, but I do have observations.
Well, you certainly could start by relocating the 2 pines and the shrub along Fisher Station and put them, I think the concern is there's a risk of sort of morphing back to parking stuff back out where the gravel's being removed, over time. Just want to make sure that everything stays on the pavement, and a visual barrier above the grass certainly would help.
Okay.
And if they're on your right-of-way, I think there's a pretty good
There are some
setback.
that are going to have to come out of right away.
Yeah.
Per the code enforcement officer.
Sure. That's what I was referring to, is those,
We've got a place for them then.
yeah, just
They
move them.
come down pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. No, you have to do the reverse here. You got to make them go up.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good with that.
Anything else, Scott?
No, that's it.
Chris? Okay, Al?
I just think the pine trees along Main Street Fisher were a nice enhancement. I think filling in the gravel, nice enhancement. I think the shed versus the containers, good enhancement. I agree. If we could relocate a couple of those trees in the right of way and just move them into that new gravel area again to shield, as Scott said, from west to east as you come down Main Street Fisher. I think it's
Probably south of the driveway apron itself?
Yeah.
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 So between the driveway apron and where the shrubs and pines are right now, if you added at least 2, take those 2 and move it, maybe add a couple more just to provide some visual barrier.
Certainly.
Coming from the west. That certainly would go a long way. And it would be honestly out of your sight distance issues, wouldn't be blocking the view up towards the intersection from the driveway, I don't believe. So, Joe?
That's it. That's all I had.
Joe?
I agree with what Al said.
Okay. Wes? Comments?
LaBella doesn't have anything further. I think you guys have covered some ground here with this application and the updated site plan. Nothing further.
Okay. Yes, public hearing is still open, so I guess I'll open the floor to the public if anybody has any comments for the applicant. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves. Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Public hearing's closed. I think my comments are pretty much echoing what everyone else has been chiming in on, and as well as I think most of it is just getting the site between your parking area and the road dressed up, and some screening with those pines. I don't know how tall they are right now. That it couldn't be 4 or 5 feet right now, I don't think. So, but yeah, putting some in and letting them mature would go a long way.
Additional trees would be good.
Yeah, so if you put those 2 in, and then maybe add a couple more, that would get you a string of 4 or 5 of them. On that, just south of the driveway, I think that would help.
So relocate to, add to?
Yes.
Okay, on the south side of the driveway.
Yep.
To block the westerly traffic.
Yeah, just in line, parallel to Fisher Station Road,
Okay.
on your right of way. Regarding the shed, I guess we normally would need to have drawings of what you're proposing there.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that kind of short notice on getting the size, so I
Okay.
was happy to just even put a footprint on there.
Yeah. I don't hear any objections to the shed. I think that's a nice,
I'm going to
Option.
need storage on there some way, somehow. That's
Yeah.
a security concern more than anything else. There are
Mhm.
tools on the property, there are chainsaws.
100%,
Yeah,
it's certainly
so
something that's,
if we can keep them locked up,
yeah,
I think that's,
Okay.
Does the shed preempt the shipping containers then?
yes, yeah, yeah.
yes, this would be a shed in lieu of shipping containers,
So he left the containers there to show what,
which is why they're shown on the same footprint.
yeah. So, yeah, it gives you a little more room for equipment or
Yeah, this is going to be your standard shed, 8-foot ceiling. I don't know exactly what the siding or colors would be, but
Are you going to Tough Shed down the road
No.
that way?
I was told Mennonites, actually.
I'm sorry?
I was told it would be built by
Oh, okay.
Mennonites, to be
Yeah.
honest, so.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, you want to try to keep it consistent with the rest of the site, I think, but,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would suggest that before we entertain approval of this, let's get that detail. Modify your plan, put those pine trees in there as we're proposing to relocate and add, and some details on the shed type, construction,
Sure.
appearance, siding. I think, anything else, anyone?
No, but could that be prior to signature? I just,
Yeah, if I could do a conditional approval on this, I know we want to get it off the court schedule
We
as
could do
well.
that, I think, if it's the board's pleasure. All right, you have a draft, right? Okay. Lisa's well prepared, she's got a draft resolution.
Lisa and Mr. Mueller have been excellent through this process for the client, so.
I got less.
thank you.
All right, save you an extra meeting, that's good. So, I have a draft resolution. You want a copy? Lisa's got one for you. So, for the Stewart Tree Service Site Plan, 7548 County Route 42, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, there are 8 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on February 24th, 2026, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project Stewart Tree Service Site Plan will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Richard Stewart, site plan entitled Stewart Tree Service Site Plan, drawn by Elliott Engineering, dated November 25th, 2025, received by the Planning Board December 22nd, 2025, and last revised February 20th, 2026. Planning Board Application 21 SP 2025 and Special Use Application 6 SU 2025 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, that the comments in a letter dated February 24th, 2026 from the code enforcement officer be addressed. Number 3, that revised site plan illustrating the treatment of landscaping as discussed in this meeting and detailing the proposed 20 by 24 foot wood frame shed with materials and construction be included and submitted for review. Ongoing conditions that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development. Number 2 is standard. Number 3, a sign permit be obtained prior to installation of any business use signage. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter.
I'm going to add, because of the shed, building permit
Oh.
be obtained prior to construction.
Okay, that's ongoing, correct?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
That'd be number 4. So, with that revised resolution, entertain a motion for approval.
Move.
Al moves.
Second.
So seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried 5-0. You're on your way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next application, number 5, Galisi, utility site plan. This is an open public hearing. This is on Linaw Road. Applicants requesting approval for the proposed installation of sanitary sewers and storm sewers through the portions of town lands to connect existing utilities along Linaw Road. And this would be to a village portion of this development, I believe, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good evening.
Evening. My name's Mike Bogajewski with BME Associates, here on behalf of Dante Galasi and Chris Galasi, who are the applicants developing the single-family subdivision within the village. For those on the board that remember the previous project that was approved, the the condo townhouse project in the town has since expired, so nothing's happening there. But they have decided to continue on with the village single-family subdivision. And with the current redesign of the sanitary and stormwater facility for the village project specifically, we've looked at the option of connecting the sanitary and storm through these townlands. Biggest reason was previously the sanitary sewer was routed through Harlan Fisher Park. And we met out there with Brian Emelson from Parks and Rec and Keith, and since the dog park has recently been built within Harlan Fisher Park, it would have made it a little harder to try to route that sanitary sewer currently now that the dog park's in place. So we looked at the option of routing it around the north side of the park, basically along the northern property line, and then come down south along Lanark Road just to connect into the pump station where it's always been proposed to connect. Along with that, we've redesigned the stormwater facility to basically be all within the village lands to serve the village subdivision. But we do need to connect the storm sewer piping from the subdivision, from the village lands down to the Lanark Road right away, and then back to there's an existing culvert that goes underneath Lina to the east was basically always been proposed to take the discharge from a stormwater facility. Now it's just not serving any portion of a town project. It's basically only serving the village subdivision. The sanitary and storm sewer are basically all within an easement that parallels that property line, the northern border of the Harlan Fisher Park property line. So that's really it. We're just here tonight to seek site plan approval for that portion. Basically the utility connections through the townlands. The village subdivision was approved by the village board back in December. So this is the next step, just to kind of get the approvals for those utilities that go through the town portion. So that's really it. If
Okay.
there's any other questions, I'm happy to go through them.
My only question would be the previously approved subdivision in the town portion had a driveway entrance from Lina. Is this going to invade that space where that driveway is, or is it south?
It's south of that. If you go back and look at the previous layout of the project, it's south of that entrance. It's south of any of the previously proposed units that were along that roadway too. So it's basically, it just hugs that property line.
Okay, so if that portion of development were to come back for approval or, review again, and this would be out of the way of that, you're not,
Be out of the way of that.
not you
of that
occurring
layout.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, board members, Joe, questions?
So I'm looking at a letter from the director of the village DPW requesting access for a maintenance vehicle of 70,000 pounds along this easement. Like your thoughts on that?
I received the comments. We haven't addressed it specifically with John at the village. Our thoughts was to basically provide a maintenance drive along that sewer. And I haven't had a chance to go over this with him yet, but basically to provide some gravel access maintenance drive along that sewer path that would then get top to topsoil.
So to the north of that sewer path, is that on town land?
I'd like to talk it through with him to see what he's actually looking for, whether he's looking to come from the cul-de-sac within the village, or if he also wants access from Lina up the sewer route, basically from east to west, just following the path of the sewer. If we needed to do anything to address his access concerns, our initial thought was to provide basically just a gravel with topsoil top.
Okay.
drive
Joe,
for
I would
maintenance purposes.
suggest that prior, adding that to a part of the resolution, that this be addressed more formally as
Yeah,
part of the
sure.
resolution.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they're asking to put utilities on town land as part of this application, I would think that a temporary access drive or I'll call it a maintenance drive,
Yeah.
also be added before we could, I would think, either approve it or, because I'm looking at that plan, I think you're talking about right in here, correct? Or the
Yeah,
sewer
that's
line.
where the utilities,
Right. So could you envision it all being part of this driveway access to get to the space over here, I think it is? I mean, clearly you'd have to move it or get rid of it once
no,
you,
I envision it would just be right on top of the sewer itself.
okay. So
The-
where would it end? Right at the corner here or, where the
Either
sewer?
the corner or it would extend through the village lands next to the stormwater facility, which is just to basically that piece that,
This?
yep, on
Yeah.
the north side of the park, and then
Okay.
it could extend right through there if needed.
'Cause you
But that's
talked about-
something we'll coordinate with the village.
Cul-de-sac and there's a house, proposer. I can't imagine putting a connection from here there to there.
No, but the sewer does go through the lot line of those two houses.
I'm just talking about
in
the
an
maintenance
easement, yeah.
access is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You don't want to, I wouldn't want that there if I were building a house.
Understood. That's something we got to coordinate with the
Yeah,
villages.
okay. All right, to be determined, I guess.
Yep.
But-
I would suggest that our intent would be to get that addressed on the plans with the village and with the town before we finalize any kind of signatures or anything like
Okay.
that.
So you're saying conditional approval with our engineer reviewing the plan?
That's something, my thought would be to coordinate and run that by Sean at the village, and then we can have Labella take a look at it as well if the town would like.
Okay.
So,
All right, Al, questions?
You and Joe address my questions.
All right, Scott?
This is really just kind of a utility plan, right?
correct,
That's
yeah.
all- that's
Within
all
the
it is.
town side, yeah, correct.
And as far as responsibilities, is the utility the responsibility of the town or the village? Is that all understood and taken care of?
It would be the responsibility of the village. It would be a village sanitary sewer.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's understood, okay.
Yep.
I don't have any more questions.
Just needs to cut through the portion of the town side instead of going through the park itself, so,
Yeah, I don't think you're hearing a lot of challenge to this, but it's more of, let's get it all
understood, yep.
taken care of. Trish?
Sorry if I don't know if you addressed this already, but did you mention where the tree line, with future drawings indicate the tree line against the neighborhood?
The plans do show the proposed tree line. There is, in order to get those two, the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer through there would be some clearing that would need to be involved along the utility route. And within the village, there is some tree clearing as well that's within the village lands that's been shown for the proposed pond and the subdivision grading itself, but there is some clearing along the storm and sanitary route.
So you could envision what, a 15 or 20-foot wide clearing?
I believe it would be 20 to 25 feet based on
Okay.
just the spacing from the property line and then spacing between the two
I would show
utilities.
that on the plans when you're
Yep, and
determine what that is.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Trish?
That's it.
Okay, this is actually a public hearing. It's open. Actually, let me get Wes's take before I do that.
Sure. Yeah, Labella, we did review the application, and again, the reason that this particular project is in front of the town planning board is because the two sewer lines, we've got a sanitary sewer and a storm sewer that's traversing through private property, owned by the project sponsor.
Correct.
That's within the town of Victor. So the only improvements that you're going to see as a result of this project are just those two utilities in that proposed easement on private property. And yes, we also understand it's clear, it's crystal clear to Labella that the proposed utilities are going to be owned by the village of Victor. The town of Victor is not going to have anything to do with this. But we did take a look. The project appears to be an unlisted action, according to seeker. The hydrant, there's a potential relocation for a hydrant, and so any coordination should be done with the Monroe County Water Authority. And then the clearing limits and the grading plan that was submitted, there appears to be a bit of an access drive that may have been installed a few years back off of Linaw Road. And that doesn't appear to be on the existing conditions. It's not a showstopper at all. It's just an observation we made. And then we're looking for a signature block on the plan sheet. So I think that's all I've got.
Okay,
for
you're
you.
comfortable with a conditional approval and then reviewing the plans with whatever access?
Yeah, I think that was an interesting, I like the comment by the village DPW. Happy to work with the applicant on resolving that through conditional approval if the board is so inclined to move that direction. Yep.
Okay. Now I'll open up to the public. Anyone here have any comments or questions for the application?
Do you mind if I add something, Joe?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Keith.
I just wanted to thank the applicant and the applicant's engineer for the time they spent with the Parks Department and I to make sure that the town was satisfied with the rerouting of the sanitary, because like Mike said, it was supposed to go directly under the new dog park.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you guys for that.
Yep.
Thanks, Keith. Step forward if you got question, comments. Name, address.
Yes, my name is Tom Hooker, and we live at 57 East Parkway. We're adjacent to the village side of the property. We are in the village. And before I even start any comments, I would like to, I see on this sheet that there's been some comments made by not only the Victor DPW, which is great, the $70,000 limit for trucks would be up to you guys, but also I see comments have been made by the code enforcement officer and the highway superintendent and Labella. Before I even start, could you review briefly what those are, summarize? So we know what's been already commented, so we're not wasting our time with redundancy.
So I can just comment for you. Labella, we did review this project, and I did just go over, we formalized our comments in a letter dated February 19th, 2026, and I just reviewed them verbally with the board. I'm happy to also go through the code comments. Code enforcement officer commented, I have no comments from either a code or construction inspection perspective. However, it is advisable that the applicant remove everything on the cover page pertaining to the development of the town of Victor prior to signatures. And the highway superintendent commented the following. I have reviewed the Galassi utility site plan. It looks like the utility work along Linaw Road is in the village right-of-way. If any work will be in the town right-of-way, they will need to submit a highway permit. That concludes the highway superintendent's comments.
So basically, that's all the comments from all these entities? You didn't mention Labella. You said you reviewed some of the stuff from them? What was that?
I am Labella Associates, and
Okay.
I just reviewed our comment letter with the board.
Okay.
I commented on seeker, the hydrant relocation, the clearing limits, and requesting a signature block on the plan.
All right. Well, like I said, my big concern is our backyard and subterranean potential for streams, and it appears that you've commented on that already. So if it's on here, I'm assuming it's in the public record. That's great. So, where was I here? Here we are. The big concern I had, as I said, we have some water already coming from the village. Are you dealing with a village site at all?
We don't.
Okay, so there's really nothing you can do about making sure that this site plan includes the downstream potential for...
The village site and the town site were originally proposed as a...
The what?
singular- The village and town sites were, I believe, originally proposed as a singular development, and it was broken apart. I think there was even some village lines and town line adjustments made to accommodate the village portion in a space that included enough room for the houses that they are currently, I don't know if it's been approved yet or is in process, but the town portion of it and the village were both considered in developing I think, stormwater plan.
Stormwater is the thing
retention
we're
plan.
mostly concerned with.
Correct.
Sewers are contained.
And so all of this is meant to deal with the retention pond, I believe, and Mr. Bogojewski's nodding.
Okay.
So, yes, it's not, it was pretty thoroughly vetted back when both proposals were in front of us.
Yeah, this has been going on for decades now,
Well,
like
a long
5
time.
of them.
No, I won't talk to, no, it wasn't well, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Well,
haven't
since
seen it
about
for 5
1980.
years, half of that.
And we've been involved since about 2010, which
Okay.
is 15,
Yeah, all
16 years ago. And we've been to many of these meetings, and it's been very frustrating because they do one thing and then they take out some stuff and put other stuff in. We want to just be sure that the commitment that was made to the owners on East Parkway, on the north side of East Parkway, the 11 owners there, that we were promised over and over again several times that there would be no above-surface water coming onto our properties and no subterranean water.
So just understand that the town portion of this is no longer, the approvals are no longer valid, they've expired. So if they want to redevelop that, they'll have to come back before the board again, and you'll get an opportunity to review the impacts of that piece of it on drainage and stormwater there. What's been done in the village was already reviewed and approved, I believe, for stormwater retention and.
Yeah, many years ago, but,
Yeah, well, water doesn't change, I mean, it's
okay, well, we've seen an awful lot of changes in this project over the years,
true.
just since we've been involved.
Yeah, and anything that's happened up to date on the village portion is strictly under the purview of the village planning board, so not this town planning board. So,
So that is not your bailiwick, is what you're
Correct.
saying? Okay. Have you been involved with the state law that is key aspects of the town drainage and sewer regulations?
our
Somebody
engineers,
tuned
I'm
into
sure, have
that?
addressed it. Wes, I don't know if you can comment on that.
Can I borrow your pointer?
Here, you want this one?
Again, so the only thing that this town planning board is reviewing are a sanitary sewer line and a storm sewer line that goes from this point right here out to Lineaw Road right here,
Okay.
right? That's the only thing that's in front of this board. Nothing in this area is in front of this board right now, and none of this has approval. Yes, it was previously approved, but that is all expired. And this portion down here in this gray area, this is the village component. The village approved this single-family lot subdivision, and you've got East Parkway right down here, right?
Right.
So the only thing that we're looking at as part of the application in front of us are 2 utility lines that go from here to here, and that's it.
Okay, well, I apologize for not understanding that.
Oh, that's okay.
And we appreciate all you guys are doing.
Glad to have you come in, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Brian?
Good evening, Brian Emelson, Director of Parks and Recreation. The genesis of why we're here tonight is because we requested, myself and Keith was out in the field, that they relook at how they were going to run their sanitary sewer line, because initially when the project was proposed, the village had given them guidance that they could come through the park. Obviously, with the improvements that the town and now the village have made to that park, we'd prefer it not travel on that path. It would be a serious detraction to the park and the park users of that much appreciated park. So I want to thank Mike and Megan from BME for working with us to reroute their plan. And that's all my comments. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Brian. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Ruth Nellis. I'm here with my husband Dave. We live at 93 East Parkway, the very end at that cul-de-sac that I think was mentioned. And I do know that there is no town, currently no town approval for housing in the town. And I'm assuming that any approval of these plans that would be constructed would not impact or have to be rerouted for any reason should a housing plan be proposed and approved. I changed my reading glasses here. Now, I have obviously a vision impairment. I could not see some of the things that you were pointing to.
Oh.
Where would the village portion of this plan connect to the town plan? Is it just past, is it just past, or does it come, the connection come where the two meet, the two lines, the two boundaries meet?
I'll see.
Or does it?
Can you see the red dot on the screen at all, or is that?
No, I
No,
can't see that.
I'd be happy to point it out to you on the.
I asked, Susie's going to put up the next plan.
It is one, it's going to be one continuous construction, right?
Yeah.
Through from the back of East Parkway, then it curves up to the northeast, maybe close to the dog park?
There's, Wes has
That where
got
it
the other,
goes?
the actual
Okay,
plan.
let me come down there.
Oh, and Keith's got a big plan for you.
Oh, this, there we go. All right,
So this is Lionel Road.
okay, yep.
This is the
Ah,
edge of their property. This is where
Yeah.
the pipes are gonna come through.
right,
See how this widens out a little bit right here?
yes.
That is
That's where it meets up with,
right here.
oh,
So this is the village part that was approved,
right.
and then it goes
Then
through, and
we
there's
live
a
here.
stormwater facility here. What, as Wes was saying, what this clearing is from this
Uh-huh.
point,
Okay.
nothing from this
Wait a
point
minute,
west.
which, oh.
So from where
we-
my finger is
yeah,
that way,
Yeah.
they're not looking at any of that.
So the village will have to look at that.
I believe the village already did.
They did.
Yeah, the village reviewed this portion already,
Uh-huh,
and the village approved this. They went through their own engineering review. They
okay.
reviewed this,
Mm,
right, and this is East Parkway.
Yep, this
Right.
is where we live.
That's you?
Yep,
And so the utilities that we're looking at, right, so the utilities that serve stormwater and the sanitary sewer that serve this proposed development are gonna traverse in this direction, right? And, and we're looking at from this point east to Lionel Road.
And this page underneath is a zoomed-in version of from here east.
oh. Wow, I had it all wrong. I thought it was going to go directly behind our houses. And that's probably what,
It'll be the storm drain, right?
what the village has in mind. But you don't know that, right?
Yeah, this is the portion of
It is.
Oh, this is, oh, I see, okay.
But the question is,
But I
where's the
thought-
storm drain along here?
I had understood they
That's
wanted.
right, that's what I'm thinking.
I'll show you. Right? So here's the utility plan
Okay,
for the village subdivision, right?
Right.
So you've got a water main
okay,
coming here.
Yeah.
And then you've got storm and sanitary on the north side of this proposed road,
ah,
right? And
ah,
you see, then it turns northward.
Yes.
And goes this direction. Right? And this is all village property. It's not owned by the village, but this is
yeah.
all in the village.
Well, I know that piece of property,
Okay.
yeah.
And then from this point
Swamp.
east,
Uh-huh.
this planning board tonight is looking at the portion from here
Here to
out to
Lino,
Lino.
up to Lino.
Yep.
Now, her house is here, our house is here. our big concern is what's to keep water from flowing this way.
That's
And
up to,
That's up to the village.
That's up to the village. The
That's
town
up to
doesn't
the
have any
village.
jurisdiction.
Okay, because we've
Wow.
been promised that that was to be taken care of, and I don't see
Thank
it.
you. This
Thank you very
really-
much.
That clears up
Thank
a
you.
lot for me tonight, but I still have a few questions here. Yeah, I forget that one. Now, which engineers would construct this? Who would oversee it? I imagine the engineers who construct it oversee it. And once it comes up to the village, so we'll have the village and the town working together, but who's going to be the persons who would maintain it?
This is all going to be village-owned, these utilities. So the village would maintain anything dedicated to the village. And the
The town.
engineer for the project, Mr. Bogojevsky and BME, they are developing it. I don't know who's actually going to be the builder, but they may or may not be overseeing or inspecting construction for the applicant.
Yeah.
But it's not something that the town, well, I guess code enforcement probably, or building department may be inspecting this, Keith? At least, monitoring.
During construction, I would assume that we would just to be clear, for the two pipes that
For
you
the
guys
two
are
pipes, yeah.
considering tonight, not the rest of the
Correct.
project.
Yeah. Anything in the village is coordinated by the village. And our staff would be monitoring construction within the town lands, which is what you saw on that, well, what they were just showing you on the drawing, if you can't see it
Yes.
up there. So
Okay, and what is there, of course, is a cost. And who assumes that cost?
I believe the developer's doing everything. The village has no expense in this, and neither does the town.
Okay, and has the Ontario County Planning Board do they have anything to say about this?
They probably commented on in the original plan. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah,
but
I
it is a
have some
county
of
road.
their,
It is a county road that goes through the two sections of the town portion of it. And, I don't know, Lisa?
For this for utility, they didn't want to see it, but I believe the village may have submitted to the county for their portion.
I have a copy of the original plan, which is a few years ago. But they cited a New York State law, number 2019, that stated that the Canandaigua or the Ontario board has the right to review, site plans such as this. And it is their responsibility to see that that site plan or anything else in the site plan that comes within 500 feet of a boundary of the village or the town, of an existing recreational facility such as the park, and the existing right-of-way. So I was just wondering if the Ontario Planning Board has addressed any of these things, or have they been notified?
For the utility, they've in the past not liked to seen it. I can submit it for administrative review to them, but because there is no subdivision, it's a utility. Obviously, if they submit a subdivision, I will submit it to the county. But for utility pipe, they did not seem to want to see it.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Anyone else from the public have any questions? Dave?
Dave Nankin at 1174 Chaucer. I was at the village meeting when this was discussed. I believe you were there also. And I think we spoke, and there is going to be a swale put behind the houses, the 11 houses on Eastern Parkway, with grates, sewer grates inserted to take away any surface storm water. So I thought that would, that would
okay.
answer a lot of questions.
Great, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I'm Karen Hyde, and my father lives on East Parkway. He's 90-some years old, so I kind of came, never been to one of these before, so it's quite interesting. But I live on Main Street of Victor, which takes the runoff from up there, all the way down to Main Street. And I have a runoff in between two houses from my house. And I have another thing that I want to discuss about my own, but I'll take care of this one after. I'll talk to you afterwards on that.
You did just speak up a little bit, please.
Okay. Would you miss anything?
I didn't. I know some of our board members have a.
Did you get it all?
Okay.
Okay.
Just lean a little into the microphone or pull it towards you, either one.
Okay, and
There you
so,
go.
there you go. So basically my concern is, again, for the East Parkway runoff, that gentleman just was up here, kind of, if I understood him right, there's going to be some blockage put in that's going to prevent that runoff on top to the East Main Street there, or East Parkway, sorry. So it would probably prevent for the runoff down off the hill of Lionel and Victorwood down onto the main street of Victor. Because we have the under the road that goes in between our two houses. I'm just concerned because we've had a lot of runoff over the years. And I'm here to bring that to a point at another meeting because I have concerns for my own property at this time too. But I was told
You're in
I
the
had to go-
village, correct? You
Well,
live
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Main Street of Victor is the village, and
Yep.
the Parkway is the town, correct? Or is it opposite?
No, you're correct.
Am I correct?
The Parkway's in the village also, East Parkway, I think.
My dad always told me one's one and one's the other, so I'm not
Well,
sure.
They're both, Main Street is in the village, and East Parkway is also in the village. Town of Victor is beyond, so.
Beyond the Parkway then?
Yeah, if you go
Okay.
to the north on Route 9, you get into the town.
Okay.
So right
Right.
at the end of that subdivision that you were seeing up there in gray, that's a village piece. We're not looking at that.
Right.
That's still in the village. You're below that, I believe.
Yeah, I'm
East
below that. I'm
Parkway,
not,
yeah.
on Main Street.
So
That's why I
any
tried to get-
comments you have about drainage and runoff and things like that would be a village question
Okay.
for the planning board or the village administration.
So even for my concern of the runoff down on my area, I'd have to go through
Yeah.
the village, not here.
Correct.
Okay. How do I go about that? Because I don't know.
I would go to the village hall and talk to
The one
the.
over on the other side there by the
Yeah.
laundromat?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank
Oh,
you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. I believe that's it. Unless anyone else has any questions from the board? Yeah. Joe is suggesting closing the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll move.
Joe moves. Al seconds. All in favor?
Trish got it.
Trish got it. Aye. Okay, I think we have a 5-0. Public hearing is closed. Mike, any other?
I think we got a lot of those questions answered. If there's any other questions the board has, happy to answer them.
I think we've got it. This is pretty straightforward.
Sure.
Appreciate your working with us on improving the plan. Once we can do a draft resolution here and contingent on signature of prior to addressing the details we just talked about prior to chairman's signature as a contingency. So I got that out. Okay, so I'll read the resolution. Glacier Utility Site Plan, Lionel Road. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, there are 9 of them. And whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action February 24th, 2026, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project Glacier Utility Site Plan will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Chris Galisi on behalf of his client, the applicant, Lionel Road Properties LLC site plan entitled Galisi Utility Site Plan, drawn by BME Associates dated January 29th, 2020, received by the Planning Board January 20th, 2026. Last revised January 20th, 2026. Got some duplicate dates there, I'm not sure if that's correct. We'll square it away. Planning Board Application 1 SP 2026 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to Chairman's signature on the site plan. 1 is standard. Number 2, comments in a letter dated February 3rd from the Village of Victor DPW be addressed. Number 3, that the comments in a letter dated February 13th, 2026 from Code Officer be addressed. Number 4, the comments in a letter dated February 19th, 2026 from LaBelle Associates be addressed. Number 5, that a revised, well, how to put this, that the applicant, working with the village and our town engineer, revised the site plan to illustrate or depict, I'll call it an access drive.
That would just be to address the village DPW comment
Okay.
letter.
And that would,
That would get taken care of
Okay.
with his comment letter, yep.
All right,
That's
so-
what it stems from, yep.
all right, so that a revised drawing, which addresses the village comments and others from already in receipt, that be submitted prior to Chairman's signature for review by LaBelle Associates. Ongoing conditions, that the site plan comply with Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development. Number 2, should an underground stream be encountered during construction, the developer is to address the encroachment and impact to the underground stream to satisfaction of the town engineer, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Okay, with that revision, entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Scott moves.
Second.
Joe seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried 5-0.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Okay, last item on the agenda. Finally, James, Woods at Valentine, Section 2 to 4, preliminary subdivision. This is an open public hearing. It's a High Point project. Owner Woods at Valentine LLC, applicants requesting preliminary approval for 71 for-sale townhouse units and 1 4-story apartment building with 100 units within Section 2-4. 2 to 4, I assume that's 2, 3, and 4, James?
Yes, 2, 3, and 4,
Okay.
right.
This will also include 2 homeowners association lots for this project. Okay.
Before you start, James, there is a clicker that Susie gave you. Other than this slide, it's all the slides that you
Perfect.
submitted. So
Excellent.
at your ease.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
That
All right,
makes this
Mr. PowerPoint does it again. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Kritikos. I'm with BME Associates. Glad to be here again in front of you for our kind of campaign of the Woods of Allentown for early this year. As Mr. Logan just mentioned, we are here for preliminary subdivision approval and review for sections 2 through 4 of the Woods of Allentown. That is the northern section. Before I get into all the graphics, I just want to point out this is the PDD plan that was submitted to the town board this last, for the rezoning for the apartment buildings as well as the transitions to townhouses. When we went into the final design, what we submitted for you actual design plans, it took this and modified it based on some site constraints to make the walkouts a little bit better, get rid of retaining walls, things of that nature. The big changes between this plan and the other ones, which I'll go, are going to be this turnaround, we made a hammerhead. This building, we twisted and brought a new drive here. These 2 buildings are rotated, so the rears face the adjacent neighbor. This had to do with some grades. This road's coming up at 10%, and even if I could do this little stub here, that thing would have been at 15%, which doesn't comply with town code, which is why we add a little intersection and brought that down. And then same thing with these two end buildings here. We rotated them. So the side yard of this building is facing this resident, and then basically the backs of these two buildings walk out with grade. This prevented us from doing like a 20-foot retaining wall with this hammerhead turnaround here. It just didn't make sense. So here is that same layout. This is the current layout now that we rendered. This is what you guys saw at the last couple meetings. I have some blow-ups of these other areas that we can talk about, but what we're talking about again is these northern section. Section 1 down here was just reapproved at our last meeting. So we got Section 2 in the northeast. Section 3 is the 100-unit apartment building. Section 4 is the northwest. So I'll start over here on Sections 2 through 4 right now. I guess before I get into this, does anybody on the board want me to go back through any of the history approvals? I know we've kind of been talking about it. I think big picture stuff, obviously, we started in 2005, did a full DEIS, FEIS for the project. Obviously, there's a lot of the office park, off-site improvements, multiple intersections, water main down Turk Hill Road, construction of High Point Drive, a lot of things for this. In 2017-18, we went through the PDD rezoning, where we went to the apartment units. That is when we added in the old Forest Park PDD, incorporated that into the Woods of Allentown PDD. Obviously, we went through all the seeker items to show we were still consistent with the original finding statement from the FEIS. Obviously, that was confirmed consistent. Then we went through site plan approvals with the Rinaldis, Woods of Allentown LLC at the time, for the apartment buildings that included a combination of a bunch of 21-unit buildings and the bigger 30-unit buildings. Total units on that were like 298. With this layout now, with the 100-unit apartments, the 84 units in Section 1, and the 71 townhouse units, we're down to 255 total units. So across the board, we're at a 39-unit reduction. And then obviously we moved the density around a little bit because we lost density in Sections 4 and 2, and then kind of pushed all the density into the 4-story building in Section 3. Commentary from the town so far, we have gotten comments back from codes, highways, landscape, and architecture. We provided written responses to those today. I'll touch on a couple of the key things, but I think they were pretty straightforward for the most part. I think some of the sidewalks and architecture comments will be the things we'll talk about in a minute. I'm still expecting comments from the fire marshal, the town engineer, and Farmington Water and Sewer. The fire marshal comments, I know he reviewed the 4-story thing pretty extensively when we went through the town board, so I don't really expect anything new from him, but obviously if it comes up, we're be willing to work with them on and address any of their concerns. So sections 2 and 3, this is going to be extended off the existing stub that is on the northeast corner of High Point Drive today. This is going to come in all private drives. The HOA area is this red outline on this drawing. I apologize for not having it on this big one. Basically, it's going to come down, cut down here, and from this intersection up, that is going to be the first HOA lot. The second one is going to be basically all of Section 4. This is going to come down and tie right into the right-of-way, and this whole area will be also included in the HOA. So that's the 71 townhouse lots. The intent, the plan at the time is to just have one singular HOA to control both entities, and then everything else in the property. So this is going to be Section 3, this wooded area, the overhead power lines and easements, all of Section 1, and then all the interior stuff is all going to be remained under the control of the applicant, Commercial Street Partners, LLC. In terms of kind of elevations, well, actually, let's tail on all the easy stuff first. Water, sewer, utilities. So a lot of this water main originally was extended down Turk Hill Road before. It was brought up through the power line easements, and then it was basically looped around all the office buildings, all High Point Drive. So there's already stubs today for main extensions at both of these, and then we'll be obviously tapping off the end of the main that stops right here, bringing that into our clubhouse for Section 1, RPZ, and then everything down here is going to be all private. That's all the same as what we just got approved. But for this, we will be dedicating all the water mains up through sections 2 and 4 to the Water Authority as required per having individual subdivided lots. The Water Authority is required to provide a service to each of those lots, and therefore they have to take it into dedication. That was always the original intent way back in 2005, back when the town of Victor owned and operated the water system. Obviously, Monroe County Water Authority doesn't have any issues with that. We've already gotten preliminary commentary back from them. So most of their stuff is just construction and sequencing. In terms of sanitary sewer mains will also be public, dedicated, same rationale the New York State Health Department requires if you have more than one lot on a single line that it's maintained by a municipality or public entity. So we'll have new sanitary sewers that are going to be run down. My laser pointer's dying. Joe, do you mind if I steal yours? Thank you. So we'll have new sanitary sewers that will run down the slopes, and those will tie into existing sanitary sewer main that is at the north end of the loop that was installed with High Point Drive. That sewer today comes and stubs, if you recall, into Section 1. Part of Section 1 construction is going to be to tie that sewer all the way down to the other existing sewer that we constructed along Valentown to serve the site down to the pump station. Drainage and stormwater. So we're doing the same drainage methodology that we got approved and reviewed by the town in coordination with Mary Subline at Labella, as well as with the DEC back in 2018, which is we are maintaining our existing stormwater facilities, obviously reducing runoff rates below pre-existing peak conditions. When this project was originally done, they didn't have the runoff reduction component of that. However, what we had agreed to in the past was we are going to provide new water quality and RRV treatment quantities for all the new impervious surfaces and disturbance that are above and beyond what was originally done per the 2005 plans. So that was the townhouse. So obviously we're doing some additional water quality up here, bioretention. There's 2 up here, one kind of tucked in here. There's one tucked between the roads here, and then there's another one that's going to sit down here. Those will provide treatment to some of the impervious surfaces before all that stormwater gets conveyed down through new sewers to our infiltration basin here. If this was a new project today and we were just starting, this infiltration basin would take care of all the water quality components by itself. But obviously that was kind of a pre-existing design thing, so we're trying to provide additional water quality treatment. And that was, again, reviewed, same methodology with Mary, several years ago, same idea that we're implying now. Easements for this. This is going to be the same plan that we kind of reviewed and confirmed with the town. We do not have an easement plan in here currently that will be provided at a final. The intent is to provide access and utility easements basically for all the roads up through these to serve the public water, sewer, as well as, fire access, anything else of that nature. We did have the easement plan for Section 1. It's going to basically be the same thing. We're going to be looking to dissolve all of them. A lot of those easements were created for the original 2005 plan when they actually subdivided out some of the original townhouse lots and established some of those easements. And obviously things have changed a number of times since then. So it's easier for us to just kind of wipe the slate clean and then reestablish it. That will be the same intent with the conservation easements. We're going to basically wrap the conservation easements around all the existing wooded areas and tree lines. It's going to be consistent with the previous approvals. Trails, kind of carrying off our meeting with Brian and Victor Parks or the Parks and Rec Department for our Section 1. Obviously, we're committed to doing some trails in Section 2. There's not as many here. You can kind of see we had a trail planned along basically the top of the berm here, and then it's going to kind of connect here and then up through the woods here for a future connection up to the properties in Monroe County if that ever gets developed. Same idea. We're going to work with Parks and Rec, let them kind of take the lead on siting things out, and then just kind of have oversight review with them and general, input and things. But obviously, we're more than willing to let them kind of go, I guess, as crazy as they want to, and propose additional things. I know they obviously are doing quite a bit more in here than we'd ever planned, which is appreciated, and the applicant is very supportive of trails and public access.
Brian Emelson had a letter on February the 10th discussing that as well. He did request to consider an easement to the town for the ongoing maintenance and care of the trails. Did you comment on that?
Yeah, I don't see any issue why we wouldn't have providing them. I just want to confirm with our client that there's nothing, besides that. But I mean, certainly if that we can, there'll probably some kind of, mapping and things that will generate once the trail is actually installed with, survey GPS to establish a true thing. And if it's not more of a blanket access easement, we can kind of come up with something specific, and then obviously provide meets and bounds and easements and work through language with the town to the town attorney's satisfaction.
Thank you.
HVAC equipment for the apartment building is going to plan on being ground mounted. It'll probably be located on the west or north sides. Basically, you won't be able to see it at all. HVAC stuff for the townhouses, those are going to end up being likely on the backs of their 20-foot little lots, just sitting outside their patio if they're not wall units. And then obviously electrical transformers and things like that, that's determined by RG&E once they do the grid. But they'll likely be set kind of between the house pads. They try to serve the townhouse communities from the rear. We did kind of identify where our expected route is on the plans, just to kind of help guide them where we think it should be. But they have the final say on that. And then green space area. Right now, we're just shy of 80%. And that's on the Woods at Valentine parcel only. The minimum requirement per lot per the High Point PDD is 35%. The overall requirement for the High Point PDD was 65%. With this current proposal, the whole project is at 71.7. So we're still in compliance with all the green space requirements, with this lot being close to 80%. So it's very green, and we're trying to preserve as much of that vegetation. Okay, I think now I will go through some of the requests from the board members that are sketch plan. Some of the things that came up were kind of talking about the balloon studies, as well as density of the trees by our neighbor's house up here, and then also looking at an overlay exhibit from the apartments to the current layout. This is the photo location map from the balloon study we did in approximately 2018 for the apartments. So you can see you got the 421 unit buildings down here. You have the 230 units, a 21 unit there, 230 units now where the 100 unit is, and then 321 units up here in section 4. This first photo, I'm only going to show the ones relative to this. Obviously, we talked about section 1 at the previous meeting. So the first photo I'm going to show is down from Turk Hill looking up at this location, and then the second one is from kind of the north end of High Point 300 looking into sections 2 and 3, kind of through that opening that sits there. What you're looking at is the balloons were flown at the 48 or 50 foot, I cannot remember the specifics, but it's approximately the same, which is the maximum height of the apartments based on what the finished grade floor is plus the 48 feet. So this is the one from Turk Hill. Zoomed in on this, which I can never see it from here, somewhere in here, but basically the 48 foot height here is below the top of the tree line, is what this is showing. And with this change, we're going from 3-story townhouses, or 3-story apartment buildings, down to 2-story townhouses. So we are effectively reducing the heights in those areas by 8 feet, from peak of roof to peak of roof. So anything you see on the townhouse end is getting shorter, so we won't have any views anticipated from Turk Hill, except for what you're gonna see, in the wintertime when you're looking through the wooded areas. And the woods out here are the same type of woods that you see everywhere. If you're driving down 490 and you look up at Woodcliff and you look up into the hills in the winter, you can see everything. You can see through the trees. But in the summer, they're mature, deciduous trees. They fill right in. In the winter, obviously, the deers are munching on all the evergreens and stuff on the lower end.
What color are your balloons? Are they white?
I think they're red, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like red, yellow, blue. So this is kind of a hard picture to see on the screen. It's a little bit nicer if you pull it up on the computer. But this is the location, like I said, sitting here. And that balloon, you can kind of see it's like right there. That one I think is orange. So that's flown at 48 feet height. The 3-story apartment building here has, it's 45 feet to the eave and another 15-ish feet to the peak. So the top of that 100-unit building is going to sit, based on where that is in the finished floor, at approximate elevation 869. That balloon there is flown at approximately 855. So we're up approximately 14-ish feet from that balloon. Even going up 14 feet, you're still going to sit below a lot of these tree lines. So effectively, at the top of that 4-story building is going to be below the tree line, and the top of the 4-story building is the finished floor elevation of pretty much everything up in section 2. So if you go into like this location, the peak of this roof is the finished floor of this building. This one sits a couple feet lower, but then you have all these trees in here, and I can get to some of these other photos in a second to help show. So this is a photo location map of some additional photos to help kind of show what the existing trees out here, as well as what kind of this looks like through here. So I know this is a little hard to see, but basically the photos I'm going to show are going to start here, looking at the adjacent property, going up, and then I'll have a couple that go out. This one looks in. These ones will be pretty self-explanatory, looking kind of north and east, and then a couple looking at sections 4, and I'll talk through these. So this is the first one. This sits at the south end, and you know what? Actually, I have at the south end of the first lot. Let me see if I can. So we're talking. I need 2 hands for this. So this first one right here. So this is approximately at the back of our building. So we have our 20-foot little lot area, and then we have another 30 feet to our property line, and then there's approximately 150 feet to the center of the back of that house from this location. So we're 200 feet from that house, with a good portion of that wooded. Obviously, we're going to be removing a little bit of this for patios and things. During the winter, you can see through this. I'm not trying to argue that, but like I said, it's every other mature woods here. In the summertime, this gets filled in, shrub, underbrush, things of that nature. So this is from the center of those 2 houses, kind of looking at this again, looking south. This is kind of working around, so this is looking from this location, kind of looking back southeast a little bit. And then this is, get shuffled. 3, 4. Okay, so 3, 4. So this one's to the east of the house, or the north of the house, looking south a little bit. And then this is the last one from basically the side of that last unit looking south. So, like I said, you can see through these woods, and we can talk about screening and treatments to help try and buffer this views, because this is obviously the one neighbor that will have any sort of views of the townhouses. So I think obviously that's something that we're, acknowledging, willing to work with the board on. We had a couple suggestions. It would be either to do some kind of like deciduous viney growth. Planting evergreens in here, you're going to have susceptibility to deer just eating them and destroying them and not having anything. So basically having some kind of viney deciduous growth. So even in the winter, you're looking through something, like this. Obviously in the summer, you're going to have something, more dense. I'm not trying to block out the view of this whole building. It is a 2-story building. We're 50 feet from the property line with a townhouse. Even if this is a rear setback, all the town zoning codes, the max setbacks is 40 feet for all these. So we're exceeding that. The established setback per the PDD is 30 feet. Obviously, we're giving a little bit more buffer to that. The other treatment we were talking about as an option would be to just do a board-on-board fence for part of this and just trying to strike it down. Basically this property line here, where you have some of the rear yards, facing his rear yard, just that way you can get a little bit more privacy. This building sits a little bit further away, and this one's a side load. So, and then the back of this house sits in the front yard of his, so there's not really a purpose to screen. But we thought, doing an 8-foot-high board-on-board fence maybe along this property line provides a little bit of privacy for both them and for both of us. And then we'd also be looking to do some additional landscape shrubbery treatments at the end of this drive, just to make sure we're having no headlights, things of that nature, pointing at his house. These are the 2 views, basically off the backs of the walkouts. You can kind of see the building down here on Turk Hill, the apartment buildings down below, but these will be very nice views. But most of these trees up here will all stay. Again, we're only going to clear 20 feet, and then basically what we need to tie back into grade here. These are pictures from under the power lines. So this is a picture standing below the northernmost tower line, looking back at our neighbor, Mr. Rueda's house, we'll obviously have our apartment building sit, back behind these trees a little bit here, so you can kind of get that relationship. And then this is a photo, power lines looking north. Again, I encourage you guys to look at these individually. That way you can blow them up, zoom them in. You get a little bit better context than trying to put two on the same screen here. This photo is at the entrance to section 3 and 4, right at the road stub, looking in. And then I moved up a little bit. This is, you can kind of see from here, you can kind of see how it kind of is cleared up. This area is already being cleared and Phil brought in from work going on at the office buildings and all the earthwork stuff. So you can kind of get an idea of what this drive is going to look like coming in and where it's going to tee off and then kind of sneak up the hill here. So I'm standing in this photo right at the T. So this is looking into section 3. So the top of that apartment building will be kind of sitting, the big apartment building will be sitting in here. And then if you look up the hill, this kind of wraps up through here and gets hidden. This photo is nice because we're going to protect as many of these trees here that are going to screen the big apartment building. Those are pretty tall, as well as the trees that are going to be on the east side of this drive. So we're really preserving a lot of this vegetation that's going to help buffer this area and really limit views from basically anywhere, even in the wintertime, as much as we can. This is an overlay of the section 2 through 4 area. Everything in red is the old site plan layout. We also added in the old tree lines just to help show the difference between that. One thing I will note that kind of became apparent to me as I was looking at this and made this last week is there's some additional trees in here that we're clearing out, and we're going to revise the grading in here and preserve as many of these as before. We just had this graded kind of a little bit flat here, so this is an oversight on our part, so I apologize for that. But we're going to get some more of these existing trees here to basically help shield that sight line as much as possible. And the trees down here right at the end of this existing tree line are these really big ones. So they're some of the ones that we definitely want to try and save if we can, because those are going to be taller than the apartment building and provide some of the best screening that we could possibly get for that
I
structure.
assume you're going to need to look at the site distance at the T intersection from 2 to 3. So I don't know.
From here, you mean? Like at this intersection?
Yeah, if you were going to keep more trees, can you see up to the right?
Oh, yeah.
So you got apartments with all
Yeah,
these
there's a
cars.
10-mile-an-hour posted speed limit. The site distance here is minimal. If it was an issue, we would just add a stop sign there and just control that intersection.
The site distance is minimal, or? is it
The
minimal?
site distance is minimal based on the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit that's established.
Oh, you mean
for
the
it.
length
Yeah.
of the required site distance?
Yeah,
I would-
I'm happy to look at the site distance for those and add them to the plans internally.
I don't want to see obstructions that's unnecessary.
No, and actually, this will be more visible than what we used to have, because if you recall, we used to have a RPZ backflow building here for when everything was private. So there was going to be a structure at this intersection. Now we're able to,
Yeah, well,
to clear it out a little bit.
be cognizant of that, let's put it that way, so.
Besides that, I mean, we're kind of just horse trading a little bit of area. We're clearing a little bit more here to, expand the development for the townhouses, although it's a reduction in density. In section 2, we're knocking this down. Oh, what is it? Section 2, this is a reduction of 50 units up in this location. The apartment building is an increase of 40, and then the section 4 is a decrease of 23. So, because we're going from the 63 apartments down to the townhouse units.
Yeah, because before they were 3-story, right?
Correct.
Now they're 2-story, but they're spread out more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And less units, just a little bit more development, and then all the extra density gets pushed into the 4-story building. Townhouse units are all approximately 3 bedrooms. They'll have driveway spaces, garages, basements, all of them. Most of them are walkouts wherever we can. Obviously, that's an amenity to them that they love to have. The apartment building, 4-story. Again, this is 45 feet from the first floor elevation to the eave, and then another approximately 15 to the crest of the roof. There is a garage level that's another 15 feet below the first floor where you enter in here. That has a number of parking spaces, like I think close to 100, if I recall correctly. There's refuse areas that'll be inside the lower area of the apartment building that'll only get brought out by staff for collections. There's ADA parking in the underground area. There's elevators, ADA access, kind of the works. I'm gonna go through, and then this is the overlay for sections 4. This one is a little bit more of a change, obviously, because we had, 321 units. I will remind you guys, I don't know if anybody was on the board, when we originally submitted the PDD and kind of went through the apartment buildings, we actually had a couple other buildings here. And part of the reason we eliminated these and what we were able to do was because we went from the 21 unit to the 30 unit buildings and basically kind of took density away to eliminate some of those buildings. So even though we're still going down in density again to do this, because we're going to the townhouses, which require a bigger development footprint, we do end up, working on a little bit more area up here. And this is where our extra impervious surface and tree clearing and stuff really gets altered a little bit.
As I recall, we also didn't want tall apartments overlooking, looking down towards Rueda's property.
Correct.
So that's why those were moved away.
Right, yeah, we tried to locate them as far. We had the road come up and along the north side, and then you had the apartments here with the rears facing down, and then into the interior woods here.
The hard thing for me is looking at that layout is 12 HVAC units facing Rueda's property through the woods. And because you said they're going to put them on the backside of those units, and I got 8 of them there and then 4 more up above.
Right, but this, if this is any other residential to residential development, and your side setbacks, your building setbacks for all your zoning codes are 40-foot max, and we're at 50, and then he's another 150 feet away, which is, obviously that's his benefit on his property. But if this was any other residential to residential, we'd be so far and above that. And I'm still talking about, yes, we're willing to do a board-on-board fence here and basically screen.
Well, I'm thinking a little more sound screening of the units themselves on the back of each townhouse.
So I don't want to propose that because they have a 20-foot by 30-foot area that is their lot, not owned by the HOA. So having HVAC units on that and then having required shrub plantings around that, you're really kind of restricting.
I'm not talking shrubs. I'm just, if you just fence around it or.
Oh, you want to just do like a little,
just enclosure of the,
Yeah, we can consider that.
But I don't know, Mr. Wade, if that's a critical thing for you or not. I wouldn't want to hear 12 AC units kick on in the summertime if I'm outside of my house.
I mean, my house is 10, 20 feet from my neighbor's lot line, and I hear the AC come on all the time. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well,
I hear my AC when it
if
fires up.
Your neighbor's 1, his neighbors will be 12 plus. Right there.
And
that's
obviously,
what-
once you get to that far distance, as well as factoring in trees, vegetations, I doubt you're going to have
As soon as
much
you
of
get
a
a
sound
noisy
impact.
AC unit kicking on, it's annoying no matter how many there are, 1 or 10.
That's fair.
I'm flagging it up now.
Sure, and like I said, I'm happy to come up with something and work to
Okay.
your guys' satisfaction. Maybe if it's just on these ones where we have like a specific treatment
Yeah, and
for
it's-
that, but not all the rest of them.
Right. I didn't say the whole unit. I just said anything that's going to impact him, it's going to be that, so.
So that's kind of all the big picture stuff I wanted to get to you guys. Obviously, we're going to be here for a couple more meetings going through this and then going through final. Obviously need town engineer comments and get their input. But I think I'd like to get the board sentiment on initial takes on this. And then if you guys want to see any other exhibits or cross-sections, I know we did have some cross-sections that we've submitted with the rezoning application in last summer. I was going to resubmit these for the meeting today, but I was looking at them and there's been enough tweaks with elevations and grades where I want to kind of redo them. I didn't really like the locations of them either.
As you recall, I wanted something that would cut between 4 to 2, just so you could see the elevation difference between, so if you're closer to Rueda's property on 4, up a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we did one that was something like that before.
Yeah. I mean, if
So-
you shift it, I'm just looking to see elevation of buildings difference. And
Yeah,
stuff like
and,
that.
and like I said, we'll do that. We'll put some sight lines on it and colorize it, because
Yeah.
I think we had one from down here basically showing you wouldn't see anything
Yeah.
from these residential new homes down here in section 1 for the northern section.
I mean, it helped me evaluate personally the height of that building, the apartment building.
And the main reason why, for me, is a lot of the elevations and things that were set at that are 10 feet different than
Sure.
what I ended up with
That's
from
fine,
actual
if you can
grades, so.
develop that, we're only talking.
Are there any
tonight,
other
so-
cross sections you guys would want besides kind of a big east-west one?
Well, relative to what you just said, with respect to that section going through there, in addition to showing the building heights and what you see in a typical section, could you show tree height as well?
I don't have survey stuff on the trees, but I can approximate them at whatever height
Yeah.
we want. I mean, I know for a fact, based on the balloons being flown at 50 feet, that some of those trees are in the probably 60 to maybe 70 range.
Yeah, well, I think when I look at, the visuals that you gave us, and I wanted to know what the color of the balloon was, it occurs to me when we're looking at that, it doesn't take into consideration the clearing that is yet to be done. You went out and you took existing photos, that's the site as we see it today, but it doesn't really consider the clearing that'll go on with respect to those homes that you're showing us, right?
With respect for, you're talking about the ones over here, you're talking about the apartment buildings?
For any of them.
So the apartment buildings, we've cleared this whole area and we brought fill
Oh, you-
into this.
oh, you have,
So
okay.
this, the apartment building clearing for this is pretty minimal compared to, at least in this area specifically. Obviously, we're clearing for sections 2 and 4 because those are completely wooded. But this has been cleared
Okay.
for the most part, especially where the buildings are. So when you look at this photo, and if you want to walk out here, you can walk right into that whole flat building area and look at all the trees and what the surrounding.
Well, that was kind of my next comment. My next comment was, this kind of reminds me of our solar project that we did with you some time ago.
Yep.
We did a site visit that I thought was really helpful.
And I would be happy to walk you guys around. I did the same thing. I can pull up a KML file on my phone, and we can just exactly know where the building is, where the corners are. You can get good views
Yeah,
of
I
this.
think that would be really helpful, because I appreciate what you've done and presented. It's a little hard to do a balloon search on some of these, and I'm not sure if the balloon is there, or my eyes can't see it, or if there's...
I can't see them on these photos,
Picture.
but like I said, if you look at if Lisa forward, you want to forward the package of these, like, where they're not combined into 2 photos, and you can zoom in on them and get a little bit better idea. And I'm
Yeah.
happy to even sit with the board if we want to go through those on a individual basis and zoom in on screen.
There's a little yellow thing that's like a balloon way in there, and that's the one that overlooks here. So
It's funny doing these because these balloons are like 5 feet wide, big balloons. They're massive, and you have the rope that you got to secure these things down with is crazy.
I think if we, could possibly do what we did with the solar project, I think that would be really helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have these in your packets.
I do? Okay.
visually, So you can zoom in, that's what I just did.
I'm gonna zoom in when I get home then, okay?
This is I'm zooming in for their benefits of
You zoom in for
where
me.
the apartment is. And you can see the 2 red balloons, or orange balloons, I guess. they are.
Yeah, I do. But I couldn't pick it off of the screen.
Right, I couldn't either. That's why I do this. So anyway, yes, that's helpful to zoom in.
One other comment I had, or question, I guess, is that you're kind of adjusting what was approved previously, and you got new building types and that sort of thing. I get that. What about traffic? You reduced your quantity somewhat by 29 units, I think you said, right? Since you last got your approval, I can't help but notice traffic hasn't decreased. In fact, it has increased, and one of the access points over by Hobby Lobby, where you come out onto the plaza there. I mean, that's pretty congested during the peak hours. So my question is, with the addition of all these units online and operational at some point in the future, is it necessary to take a look at traffic again?
I don't believe so, based on the studies and stuff that we did a couple of years ago where we projected it and included growth estimates. We were well below the traffic, which I believe Jennifer at Clark Patterson, if she was.
Jennifer McNabbott, she's now I think she's with the DOT.
Okay. Well,
in
I believe she
Buffalo.
was the one that reviewed this at the time,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, and they were agreeing with that. I mean, happy to dig up what we did last time for that and just kind of, verify that. But in terms of the trip generation, I know when we went to PD and the 300 apartment units, everything was reviewed at that time, and then again projected into the future. And the new trip counts that we had at the time were less than what we had projected back in 2005, 2007, and what all the, what is it, High Street in Valentine, 96 and High Street, and Cobblestone Court in 96, and then all the stuff between 96 and Cobblestone Court. All that intersection improvements were all done by Rinaldi's entity, whatever it was at the
Yeah,
time.
if you look at the intersection High Street, High Point Drive and 96, there's a lit right turn on red sign, or no right turn on red at certain times, that was supposed to keep traffic from coming into High Point Drive from 96, taking a right at that light, you know where Starbucks is?
Yes.
There's a sign up there that says no right on red. It's supposed to be a lit sign eventually, and I think after Building 300 was built, it should have been done. Please evaluate what the original requirements were for that PDD, because traffic coming downhill from what was Constellation, that all three building 300s, 1, 2, and 300 rather, was supposed to, it would be bottlenecked at rush hour, and unless you kept traffic from coming into High Point to Kmart, or well, now it's
So I'm
Hobby
gonna,
Lobby.
my thought would be that your bottleneck already occurs because of the office buildings, though. You're gonna have the rush of
Right,
people
but I
all
wanna
leaving
know
at
if
the
it's been
end of the day.
approved. I mean, that would be something that we'd want to make sure was done to facilitate the traffic movement at that intersection.
Yeah, I mean, I can look at what the
I was here on
improvements
the
would be.
board
I
for so
I
long.
believe Bergman Associates did them for us, and then I would just, I don't know if signage-wise, obviously, anything is going to be under the state DOT's purview for that.
I just want to make sure that it's functioning properly, and there were requirements that I don't know how, what would have triggered it to be.
I'll look into it, and I
should-
will give you guys
Yeah,
an
it was
update for the next
basically
meeting.
morning, evening kind of turns, basically evenings for traffic coming down from High Point, turning onto the
Because
driveway. in-
that left turn, I got to
left from
imagine,
High Point Drive on.
onto the Hobby Lobby or the
But
entrance.
They would
there.
have had to wait there with traffic backing up High Point with cars coming in from 96.
I know,
go into-
I would be surprised if the DOT would allow you to do anything at that intersection, because typically they won't let you have a controlled intersection like that adjacent to one off the 96, because if that light at High, if there was a light there, like a two in a row for some reason, you'd basically be restricting
Well, I'm
traffic,
not
even if
saying-
it was a stop sign. I don't
No,
think you'd
it
have
was, it was the right turn on red sign or no right turn on red from 96 to the driveway. And it should be there to control traffic during rush hour time, high peak times, coming down from High Point, to control traffic going into the driveway. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's complicated. But all I know is this
Talking about-
traffic issue.
You're talking
is-
about this light right here,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And this right-hand turn.
Yeah, I'm sure if I brought it up on Google Earth, you could see the sign and whether or not it's active.
But
We'll dig into all the
intuitively-
stuff that we have, and I'll see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
And if not, I can reach out to,
You have to reach out to Fred and say, hey, you need to put this in if it's not there.
see if I can
already.
drag Frank Dolan back to a meeting, or
Yeah, right.
if he's still doing this.
If I purchased one of these townhouses and I wanted to go to work in the morning, I think I'd go to Valentine Road. I don't think I. Well, that's why I'm saying it.
The Valentine Road resident objects.
I think there's going to be more than one person there, and that's why I'm asking the question, because I think.
I think you're right.
I
It's
think
probably
I think drivers are very intuitive, and they're going to stay away from gridlock, and they're going to go elsewhere, and the only other choice is Valentine Road.
I think that was anticipated as well.
Right.
They do
And I
traffic
think the
counts
people at the
all over
office
place out here.
park in the buildings have kind of learned that and do that now. I know when I went out to the site to visit and parked my truck up here and here, the amount of cars that went down High Point Drive actually surprised me, and just even in the middle of the day.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, not so much the state highway, but the town highway, Valentine Road, are we ready for that?
I don't think there was any improvement other than, I don't even recall if there were like turn lanes or anything proposed at the time. So I know there wasn't a light there ever proposed. So,
Just asking the question.
sure, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'll pull out the last traffic study. I'll make sure that it still makes sense with current, and obviously if we need to do any
Yeah.
history review or kind of dig into that.
It is a
Get you.
lot of buildings,
Yep.
so a lot
You've
of.
got other
residents.
activities surrounding us too, as you're familiar with. Chick-fil-A.
Oh, that'll back it up.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's.
they
gonna
should
have-
be
that's
for
gonna
those
have an
intersection
impact on the-
improvements.
It's gonna have an impact on the state highway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all interrelated, it's all interconnected.
Yep.
And the new Bass Pro and the hotel. I
Well,
think
that's-
if you,
Wouldn't they be having to do traffic studies? Because of the traffic study we did is obviously projected, it's been approved plans. I would assume that if they're doing any traffic studies for these new developments, they're incorporating our trip generations and stuff that we had approved for the 300 unit, which was the last thing that we did. And now obviously we're reducing that down a little bit, so.
I believe that 96 corridor through there, all those signals now are controlled by RTOC, right? So from
believe
Monroe
so.
County.
Yeah, they retime that and do whatever they
Yeah.
need to do.
I mean, it adjusts
Yep.
actively or dynamically, I should say. So, I mean, I have seen a big improvement along that corridor because of all that. There might still be more issues.
I'm
coming
just
down the road,
raising the
but-
issue because I think it's important. I mean, we're seeing a lot of development around there, and it's not just this project. And I think it's all interrelated.
Okay. Anything else from anybody?
No, once again,
Questions?
I'd be happy to do a field visit whenever it works with anybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, let me know when you guys are available, Lisa. I mean, we can do it, as long as you guys don't mind walking around in the snow or the
I was
the
going to
wet.
say,
let's-
if we can get the snow to pack to go down a little bit before we do that, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, we can park right here, and then this is a flat walk into this whole area.
Right.
This, we can obviously get into this very easily. This one's a little bit more of a hill climb, but it's not that bad.
It's an open public hearing. I do want to give the folks that are here from the public an opportunity to ask questions. I mean, this will be continuing, so either, any of you, Dave, I can trust you to come up with something.
Been over to the mall with the drugs.
I'm not there that
Any
bad yet.
What are those drivers going to be like?
Yeah. Don't go out in the parking lot.
Dave Nankin from 1174 Chaucer Court. I'm looking, when the pictures were put up, and they showed a lot of high-intensity wires. How many of those wires go over your property itself? Any of the townhomes or? None.
You can kind of see on that.
Yeah, you see the green strip? Yeah, you got the laser.
There's two towers right there.
Uh-huh,
And
okay.
then there's towers right there, and then there's a couple right there. So this is just east-west right through our property. We don't have any proposed buildings or structures inside of the New
Thank
York
you.
State Power Authority easement.
The only things under it is a parking area that was attributed to Building 300 for overflow parking. That's not even finished yet.
And what time span are you looking at to complete this whole build-out approximately?
Several years, I would imagine.
Is there a phase one?
Yeah, so the phasing of the project isn't going to follow the sequencing of the sections. The intent right now is to start with either sections 2 or 4, develop all the townhouses, sell those, get those developed, and then probably do section 1 and then probably section 3. I'm not sure on the specifics. Obviously, as I mentioned, some of section 1 in terms of, I'm assuming we'll need to provide some access for the public sewer as well as construct the public sewer and do some initial grading in there. Will occur with whatever the initial phase is, whether it's 2 or 4, or whether we do those together. So we'll probably likely build all those roads together and then leave a stub here with, future connections to the private apartment building for whatever that phase will be.
So would all the clearing be done in phase one for all 4 sites?
Yeah, well, basically, most of the clearing for section 1's completed, obviously, because we worked there. A lot of the clearing for section 3 is done. But I would imagine we'll just clear all of sections 2 and 4, go out there, survey it, stake all the tree lines out, accurately, so make sure that we're clearing only
Okay.
what we're gonna clear.
Just kind of like to get it out of the way or something, stabilize it.
Another question. all that digging, it's going to probably produce a lot of fill, excess earth.
Phil,
Nothing?
I thought,
No, it's going to stay
are
on
you
the site?
moving from one site?
Yeah,
to
we've,
another?
basically right now, the intent is to try and do this with zero export. Obviously, we're gonna move some dirt around between the sections. Sections 2 and 4 are in cut. That material is gonna go to the fills in section 1, as well as a little bit of fill in section 2. Right now, I've got export of excess topsoil, which is typical of pretty much every construction project ever. But the intent is to keep select fill on-site or find berms. If we need to, obviously, we've got some flexibility with these overhead power line easements. We may have opportunity to just lose select fill below the power lines as long as we're not causing any grading or anything that would conflict with New York State Power Authority. But that'll be something we'll discuss with them if we.
You're gonna say NIPA had to approve that, right? If
Yeah,
they-
NIPA would have to review and approve that. And then we will have obviously review and approval for them because the stubs for these connections do involve work below that power line easement. And if we put any light poles or in there, we have to ground them and comply with all the kind of same stuff we did for Rinaldi's parking lot. But the idea would be to not do that to the greatest extent possible.
Thanks. Dave, anything else?
One more question. The exterior of the townhomes on both sides, will they be exactly the same or any variation between section 4 and section 2?
They're all the same type of townhouse. There was an elevation provided, which I don't know.
Yeah, that's not on the slideshow, but they've had it.
I apologize, Dave, I don't have it, but I'll include it in I'll include the building elevations in my next presentation, and we can talk about those.
Past your bedtime, you know.
Dave.
David Wright, 33 Ketchum Street, here representing Victor Hiking Trails. First, I'd like to say that I'm very pleased that the applicant is in favor of trails. I think that's an important recreation factor for this area. Every time I see residential development, I'm always looking to see how we can have some trails for people to recreate on. And I know you already approved Phase 1, and I know that the developer is going to work with Victor Hiking Trails and Town Parks and Rec to develop trails in that section. I know we also talked about a small area for parking for cars and for when either Victor Hiking Trails or the town parks come to maintain the trails, that there'll be some place to park our equipment. So I'm glad to hear that.
On High Point Drive, correct?
Pardon?
On High Point Drive, correct?
Section 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Section 1.
Thanks.
And I know we just mentioned about some trails in 2, 3, and 4. I think that's great. Looking for a connection to our existing trail on our Seneca Trail so that people who are living in that area can get access to the Seneca Trail.
Which is where exactly?
So here's all the commercial buildings on top, and so where their property line is below that runs along there and then down the power lines to Turk Hill Road. So somewhere in this area here to get down to here, and it is a steep hill, so we'd have to do something that would be sustainable and not Adirondack style. The other thing, when I see a residential area, I'm always disappointed when they don't have sidewalks. And I know from the very beginning they didn't want sidewalks here, but I think in the early stages there was more industrial, warehouse, and not as many residential. So I'm wondering where the smaller children are going to learn how to ride their bikes if they're going to have to be in the road, in the parking lots, and so that concerns me.
Good comment.
But again, we'll work with the Parks Department and help make this a a nice asset for the area.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Anyone else? Dave, you're eager beaver tonight.
Likes these meetings.
I know.
Dave Nankin, 1174 Chaucer. I don't see any extra parking areas for guest parking on 2 and 4. There is.
Yeah, there's little guest parking areas kind of scattered.
We'll get into that with site plan into more detail.
Oh,
So,
okay. I'll be quiet now.
yeah, no problem.
Francis Clement, Lot 8, Valentine Road. I did not hear anything, and I don't know whether it was because I zoned out for a minute, but I didn't hear anything about, Scott, you mentioned last time from Valentine Road that, you know, the buildings could clearly be seen, and I was just wondering whether there was anything said, whether I missed something. I didn't hear anything or catch anything that was said regarding the view from Valentine Road.
Well, I think that was relative to their section
Section
one.
one, yeah.
And I think you may have missed the follow-up meeting to that, because there was a meeting after that. And the board voted on that and approved it last time. So we're talking about these upper sections now, correct? So, I don't believe there's much of a view from Valentine in that direction, right?
There's none anticipated. I don't.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, there's none anticipated. I don't believe. I know we couldn't see the balloon when we flew it for Section 4 from Valentine's. We definitely couldn't see the Section 3s. I don't believe you could even see most of these towers, if I'm not mistaken, from Valentine. I think most of that gets screened
I
in the
think
summertime.
he's more referring to the section 1 at the bottom.
Yeah, Section 1, we were at the planning board two weeks ago, and obviously, based on some board commentary, we made some adjustments to preserve some additional trees in the southern area to the greatest extent possible, but. I think it's sidewalks. I'll just touch on that. That was the last thing I meant to talk about. Obviously, there's been some commentary and discussions for High Point Business Park for sidewalks along High Point Drive, as well as in some of these other areas. For Section 1, obviously, we have sidewalk along the frontage of the apartment buildings here, and we have sidewalks along the frontage of the apartment buildings here. Besides that, this project has always, from the original conception, been designed as a trail community. From High Point Drive with the trails here, with the new trails that we were planning along here, as well as now with the new trails that we're going to work with Parks and Rec. All the roads here, the kind of the main concerns are High Point Drive is constructed primarily at 8%. When the road was built, it has light poles along the edge of gutter. It wasn't really graded out for sidewalk along the entire area. So there's a lot of additional work to try and fit a sidewalk into that. Further, a trail, if it's constructed properly and maintained, is going to provide the same benefit that a sidewalk would out here, because the town isn't going to plow these in the wintertime. And then town and maintaining an 8% sidewalk seems kind of counterproductive to me. So to me, the sidewalks are going to serve the same function that the trails would in the summertime, essentially.
I think circulation within the subdivision, though, if you look at most of the subdivisions that we've approved, there's at least a sidewalk on one side of the road. And actually, if I look at the detail provided from Ryan Holmes for the townhouses, it shows sidewalks in front of all of those buildings. So,
Sure. I mean, we can certainly look at incorporating townhouses. The only thing that it does, though, is it takes we're trying to have this compact design. That's the whole idea. This is like a cluster subdivision. I know we're putting a lot of townhouses in close proximity and jamming it in. The idea is that if I can compress them more, I can save all the trees between these sections. If I start to add 5-foot separation from my back of gutter, 5-foot sidewalk, and then another 5 feet, I'm going to go 15 feet down the hill. I'm going to eat a lot of these trees. And then same thing here. If I separate this, I'm pushing houses closer, to the exteriors and to some of the property lines. I'm happy to take a look at maybe looking at some sidewalks in the flat areas. But our other concern is if you put sidewalks in on these private drives, they're owned by the HOA. These are 10% drives. So you're going to have a 10% sidewalk owned by an HOA, their liability, their maintenance, their headache in kind of the wintertime. And you know they're going to be calling the town complaining about maintenance, even though it's not the town's responsibility for those. So that the idea, the intent was to just continue with the trails, develop that. If you're coming down here and you want to get to the clubhouse, you're not doing it in the winter. You're driving down there. That's way too far. That's crazy. It'd be crazy to try and walk down 10% slope. Nobody's making that walk.
I think they are for people, and when it's not inclement weather. It's when it's nice out, people want to go walking.
Sure, but at the same point, you'd have trail networks along the road that serve the same exact function as the sidewalk would.
Mhm.
You'd still provide pedestrian movement and access,
Right.
and then it would match in with the rest of the trail network.
I would suggest taking a look at it and see, prove your case one way or another. But I think sidewalks are important in a community. This previously was like 3 apartment buildings that Fred had originally proposed. Now it's a whole bunch of townhouses that people are going to walk between townhouses in a neighborhood.
Sure.
That's really what you're proposing, is more of a neighborhood. So I think it's important to make sure you look at providing
I'll
some-
see if we can provide some, like I said, some access up here in the flat areas of the site. I still would like to prefer to try and keep the 10% slopes probably as trails. I think that's going to be more appropriate for the site.
All right, probably tonight's not the night for that.
Sure,
but,
absolutely.
we can move on from anyone else.
My name is Edwin Rueda. I live at 7400 Forest Trail. That's the section 2, I believe it's 4. Okay. Yeah, I have lots of questions. This section.
You need to
Excuse me.
speak
Oh, I'm sorry.
closer to the
I'm
mic,
sorry. The section that over by my shed, there's the well and the shed. That section there, you're proposing, is it 48? Is it 48 feet? These townhomes? Or these condos?
I mean, the distance?
No, the
height.
Yes.
I-
They're 2-story, they're...
Is there?
Maybe
Is
you can
it
step up to the mic when you
two stories with the garage underneath? I mean,
in front.
there's a distance, I mean, the garages are not underground, above ground, I believe.
Uh, That's their
Is that-
proposed house.
Is that the, okay.
That's Orion Home construction.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's premium construction, but they seem nice.
Right, okay. Well, you guys are planning to take a field trip. You guys are also all welcome to my
I'd love
property,
to, yeah.
Okay? I would love to have you guys
Well,
there.
I would
and
suggest
Take a look at the property
Lisa-
and see what I see.
When we figure out a date, we
Okay?
can
Yeah,
contact
you give me a
and
call,
let you know.
and we'll meet there.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate everything you do. I'm gonna have to talk to someone about giving you a raise.
she'd be glad for you to do that.
Oh, my God, does she? Oh, he's over there. I gotcha.
Keith, you're in trouble.
Again, the questioning, there's tons of stuff that, lighting and so on and so on. It's proposing a neighborhood. I've been there 25 years in this property. Post and pillar home. I even thought about maybe giving you guys a tour of the property inside. Rinaldi did, and he says, I never would believe this property looks like this from the inside. He goes, holy mo. He goes, I feel like having a martini.
Sounds like Fred.
Again, there's tons, this is all at the beginning here. And is it customary that if I have any questions, I can call you, James?
I can go through the town.
Through the town?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll respond to anything that you provide.
Gotcha.
And we
Okay.
will certainly coordinate with you on the sidewalk. I'm happy to have you join us for at least this section up here where I'm sure you're not concerned about the eastern portion.
Right. That, the section that, I'm concerned with is that there. So I look forward to meeting up with you guys.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
thanks. Anyone else? Only got one other person here, might want to. I guess guess
The
not.
water problem, that's all I care about.
Okay.
Just take care of that street, that's all
All
I
right.
care.
Well, still,
I could care less what he does, because it's their property, and just don't mess the water up, that's all.
there will be opportunities in the future, I'm sure, for you to make any comments that might come up. Certainly, Mr. Rueda, if you want to ask questions of the board, you can send something in as well. So, the hour's pretty late. Our only action tonight is lead agency coordination resolution, which Wes has prepared. James, you have anything else?
Nope, I was gonna say, I've got plenty to prepare for the next meeting, and I think we'll just continue our discussion then, but I appreciate all your guys' input as well as the comments from the
It'd be
public.
great to get copies of those pictures, the winter pictures that you had. I don't think I didn't see them in the packet, so.
I didn't add it to the Dropbox, you just sent that to me today
Yeah.
for the slide,
All right,
but
so-
I'll
Yeah.
slide it into the Dropbox.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just the full picture's not cropped out, so it should
Yeah.
be a lot better. And if you guys have any issues or questions on any of that stuff, just send me,
Yeah, if
at
you
least
have,
send me a note.
if you're doing PowerPoints in the future, you can certainly include those to Lisa so she can give them to us and, like those sections, for instance, that we just talked about.
Yeah, I'll probably submit you guys a
Yeah.
letter and include those. I'll try and get those out a little bit ahead of the meeting next time.
Okay. Any other comments, thoughts from the board before we move this forward and watch a rerun of President Trump? Okay. So,
That's right.
so this is a draft resolution we have that I believe Wes prepared as a lead agency for Woods at Valentine subdivision.
So why do we need a lead agency? Just curious. We don't need to do seeker, it's already completed.
Wes,
Or do you
wanna-
just need a coordinated review regardless, Wes?
Yeah, so this application is materially different than the site plan application for the 12 apartment buildings and 288 units, right? We've got a subdivision application now where you're asking the planning board to create 74 lots, which was not a component of the previous seeker review.
Completely understand.
Yep. So, and one of the reasons that it's classified as a type 1 action here is because it appears to be a realty subdivision, right? You're creating 5 lots that are, at least 5 lots that are less than 5 acres in size in any 3-year period. So that's one of the thresholds as to why it's a type 1 action. And there are some changes, right? There are some, and it's described in this resolution. I'll let you read it, Joe. There's some
Thanks.
changes to this project, which are noted in your application. So whether or not we do a brand new determination of significance, or maybe we just revisit the previous determination of significance to create some new findings. But we got to notify the involved agencies of the updated application.
Absolutely. Do you need an updated EAF then for that?
Yes, and that's in here as well.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yep, James, you can have, I've got an extra copy here for you.
Oh, perfect.
All right. As Wes put out, I'm going to get to read this whole thing. So, lead agency resolution was at Valentine subdivision, application 1 PS 26. Whereas on or about January 20th, 2026, Town of Victor received a subdivision application referred to as the application from BME Associates on behalf of Commercial Street Partners, LLC, also known as the applicant, requesting to subdivide approximately 56.8 acres into 74 lots on High Point Drive within the town's High Point Business Park Plan Development District, PDD, Woods at Valentine Lot, Sections 2 through 4, and the application proposes 71 for-sale residential townhouse units, each on its own lot, surrounded by proposed HOA lands, and 1 4-story apartment building containing 100 residential units, referred to as the project. Said application being assigned project number 1 PS 2026, and whereas the application is materially different from the previously approved April 23rd, 2019 Woods at Valentine site plan, as was referred to, consisting of 12 apartment buildings containing 288 apartment units within sections 1 through 4. In that, sections 2 through 4 now proposes a total of 171 residential units, including 71 single-family townhouses and 100 apartment units within a single 4-story apartment building, a project that includes disturbance in areas not previously anticipated to be disturbed, increase in amount of impervious area, a decrease in calculated green space, and a decrease in wooded area to remain or be replanted, and incorporation of HOA lands as described in the preliminary subdivision plan set prepared by BME Associates dated January 2026, and whereas Section 1, Woods at Valentine Lot of the PDD remains substantially consistent with the Planning Board's 2022 Section 1 site plan approval, for which a seeker a negative declaration was issued on April 23, 2019, and where reapproval of Section 1 was issued February 10, 2026, for the 84 residential units within 2 apartment buildings. And whereas the changes described within the application and above paragraphs were not anticipated or considered under a previous seeker A review and April 23, 2019 negative declaration, thus requiring the Town of Victor Planning Board to further evaluate the potential environmental impacts of the project to supplement the previous seeker A findings and determination or issue a new determination of significance prior to making a discretionary decision on the application. And whereas various regulations have changed that affect the project site, including but not limited to New York State Freshwater Wetlands Program under 6 NYCRR Part 664 and the Town of Victor's High Point Business District Park PDD zoning regulations, for which the Planning Board must take into consideration when evaluating the application and project. And whereas the New York State Department of Health considers realty subdivisions to be Type 1 actions pursuant to 10 NYCRR Part 97, Section 9714 B2 II, and in a realty subdivision is defined as sale, rental, or offer of for sale or lease of any tract of land under one ownership or common scheme, which has been subdivided into 5 or more residential lots designated by meets and bounds, each comprising of 5 acres or less within any 3-year period, and the applicant proposes creation of 71 residential lots, each being less than 5 acres, which is an arrangement consistent with the definition of a realty subdivision. And whereas the Planning Board intends to proceed with the coordinated review as required for Type 1 actions, and a lead agency must be established prior to making the determination of significance, and whereas the Planning Board has preliminarily identified that the New York State Department of Health and Monroe County Water Authority are involved agencies, as defined in Section 617.2 of the seeker regulations, and the Town of Farmington Water and Sewer Department, Ontario County Planning Board, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation as interested agencies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Board hereby classifies the project as a Type 1 action, and be it further resolved that the applicant and project sponsor provide the Planning Board with an updated Part 1 Environmental Assessment Form, EAF, identifying that subdivision approval is required by the Planning Board, and that the New York State Department of Health is an agency approval required within Section B, page 2 of Part 1 EAF. And be it further resolved that that the Planning Board hereby declares its intent to act as lead agency and directs the Planning Board Secretary to mail the long EAF Part 1 completed by the project sponsor and a copy of the subdivision application to all involved and interested agencies, not notifying them that a lead agency must be agreed upon within 30 calendar days of the date that the environmental assessment form was mailed to them, expressing the Town Planning Board's intent to act as lead agency. So, I will entertain a motion to vote on this resolution.
I'll move it.
Scott moves. For seconds. So on this resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carried 5-0. And that's passed. So,
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
all right, thank you, James.
You guys are supposed to have your picture taken?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Looking bright and sunny.
Are you kidding me?
I believe that Joe is not at your next meeting, right?
So if everyone is okay with that, Susie wants to take a picture.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn before we take a picture. Al moves, Joe seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is complete and closed out, adjourned.
Do it quick.